A very good morning to all my dear Toastmasters who joined us on this fine Sunday morning. We're here to sharpen our humorous skills, and I believe I started slightly earlier. When I told my mom that I wanted to be woken up slightly earlier on a Sunday morning, and she said, "You're joking, right?" And I said, "No, but I do hope to learn." Of course, a mother who hasn't seen her daughter wake up less than 12 on a Sunday in the last 4 years, to her it might be a shock, but to me, it's a funny bone tonight, this morning. Hearty welcome to all the audiences and of course, our keynote speaker, DTM Kishore, who is here to teach us the science of being funny. Everyone loves a funny man. Everyone loves a funny person. They are the life of the party. They have the content. They are the crowd pullers, and they are the people magnets. These are the people that even the most quietest introverts like me like being around, quite simply because they are the ones that keep the conversation going, and they can do it with such ease and such flamboyance. Humor is a very important part of all of our lives. We all like a joke now and then. Of course, as a student, I see jokes happen every day with those around me. Every class has a class clown. Every workplace has that one guy who keeps cracking jokes. Every place on the planet has someone who is funny, who keeps time running, who ensures that you don't know that 4 hours are passed until they're actually done. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the power of humor, is the power of a good joke. Something that a lot of people say, they say, the best way to kill a joke is to explain it. But today, we are here to refute that claim, and we are here to explain to you how to create some of the best jokes and have some fun time along the way. Before we begin on the keynote session, we have someone special to address the gathering. 1/3 of the district trio of District 120, our club growth director, DTM CG Gayatri. Distinguished Toastmaster Gayatri CG is a software engineer by profession and a public speaker by passion. She currently works as a project manager at DXC Technologies, and she is also pursuing her post-graduation of artificial intelligence and machine learning. She has worked in various roles, including pre-sales consultant, operations manager, and design architect. For the last 8 years, she has been with Toastmasters International and has served in various positions at the club level as an Area K1 director, as a division director, and an assistant club growth director for District 82, and also as the district logistics manager. She has served as club sponsor for 2 clubs and as club mentor for 3 of them. She is the current club growth director of District 120, and I would like to now welcome this dynamic personality to address the gathering and make our Sunday morning. DTM Gayatri, the screen is yours.
Thank you, MC Samyukta. A very, very good morning to one and all present here. Humor and our trio, I would say, don't go well with each other. If you see, if somebody speaks inspiringly or motivatingly that we are all up, no, I get inspired. I really want to follow that person. But if someone cracks humor and sets the stage on fire and then everybody's rolling on laughter, I feel only jealous because I can never imagine myself becoming a very humorous speaker at any point in my life. And I've told people one of the biggest jokes that I've ever created was my very first humorous speech contest. I was the only one laughing on the stage. Of course, I had fun time. That's how I convinced myself. So humor, I thought it's very difficult to be a humorous speaker. I can make people laugh while I'm conversing with them, but unintentionally, okay, not intentionally. I cannot plan that, okay, if I say this, these people will laugh, and then that can never happen with me. But it is always fun to listen to humorous speakers, even if they are not speaking humorously. That's the best part, right? So whether you go to make a professional sales pitch or probably a very, very highly strict convincing or negotiation meeting, humor still adds a lot of value there. So this session about acing humorous speech contest to me is going to be a Bible for how to be humorous or how to be intentionally humorous. That is very difficult for many of us. So when we are going to make a big presentation, it always helps to start with a humorous note so that the audience are already with us. And I think many of the people, like our keynote speaker today, kind of believe that it's not an art, it is a science and it can be mastered. You can do it like a step-by-step thing and then take it there. I don't know how he has structured his speech today, but for many times, even before I want to prepare a speech, for me, humorous speech has been the pep talk. I don't know how many of you also follow this, but if I have to write a speech and I sit in front of computer, it never works for me. So what I do is I go and watch 2-3 speeches that are very good, proven that I always like it. And then I go listen to that speech, and then somehow my creativity or my brain starts working in a much better way. And definitely one of the speeches that I go to is Bujku. I think all of you would have listened to that. So I'm very, very thrilled to listen from the person who created such a masterpiece. I can go on and on about that particular speech. I can dissect it. I can speak about the beautiful similes and metaphors that he has got. I mean, I don't know how he even thought about it. So it is not easy to create such a master script. And I'm sure there should be a lot of brain work going behind it. And understanding how to bring in such things is not going to help us just to ace the humorous contest, because let's face it, ultimately one person is going to win the district champion, and probably there are 8 of us who would become division champions, and then a little more in area and club. But ultimately, whoever is going to try and attempt a humorous speech is going to have a edge over all others who are going to present among you, be it in your office, be it in your college, anywhere. So I'm very thrilled to listen to this. Today morning is really, Sunday morning is worth it because of, keynote on humorous speech. Let's all listen to it. Like you, I'm also going to learn this so that, like I said, try on humor doesn't go well, but we really want to change that. We also want to be humorous at times because it always helps to be a little jovial because you get better with people. So let's all listen to him. Over to you, MC.
Thank you so much, DTM Gayatri, for your address. I'm sure everyone's going to take what you've said and, of course, listen very keenly to master the science of humor. Now, of course, I would like to bring to the stage the man of the hour, the man that we are all here to listen to and see and get a laugh or two, and many, many more this morning. DTM Kishore is a mechanical engineer with a master's in information systems and has worked in the corporate for over 15 years in mergers and acquisitions. He now runs his own consulting firm called Nitya that uses storytelling and theater-based learning methods for faculty organization development. He is an avid Toastmaster for over 8 years and has won the International Championship of Humor in 2013 and 15. 2014, he was the runner-up, and in 2016, he won the Glitterati Championship and runners-up in table topics at the district. In 2017, he was the finalist at the district for the International Speech Contest. Of course, we're all very happy to hear from a man of such credentials, a man of many talents, of whom humor he is here to show us this morning. Before we begin the session, DTM Kishore, I would like to let you know that the timer, DTM Dheeraj, check if you are able to see him and pin him.
Yeah.
Awesome. To everyone in the audience, please be aware there will be a question and answer session. So please don't forget to put your questions in the chat box so that you can post them to DTM Kishore later. Alternatively, you can also raise your virtual hand and you can post them to him yourself. DTM Kishore, the screen is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Samyukta and Gayatri, for actually creating a very warm, hospitable opening to this wonderful occasion today. But I'm really sorry to tell everybody in the meeting that the expectations that have been set are quite wrong. because Samyukta did mention that, these humorous speakers are the ones who are the center of attraction. They are the crowd pullers, etc. and all. But like Gayatri said, if it is a motivational speaker, people want to follow you. If it is not, then they have some other feelings, but definitely they'll not follow you. So that is the first disaster that you should know about being a humorous speaker as such. Because trust me, I got into humorous speaking because way back, some 12 years or 13 years back, I was a bachelor, and my Toastmasters people told me that, you become a humorous speaker and you will be like, some sort of a Rajesh Khanna where, everybody would love you and all. Then after becoming a humorous speaker, what I realized was that, somebody was going through a breakup, and this person goes to a motivational speaker. The motivational speaker motivates her, and they both become a couple and live happily ever after. Okay. Similarly, a person who is going through a breakup comes to a humorous speaker. The humorous speaker makes her laugh like anything. And then she realizes, the person whom she broke up with was much better than this guy, and returned. So that's the sad reality of being a humorous speaker. So if any of you have joined with that particular intention in mind, this particular session, that you will be like really popular, I'm telling you, you are popular only until the joke is done. Once the joke is done, it moves on to the next speaker. So with that, it's a wonderful, wonderful Sunday morning, and it's so happy to be connecting with you all. So let me, wish everyone out there. Hello, Chennai. Hello, Tamil Nadu Toastmasters. How are you doing? And if it's possible, just please type in the chat box, say hi or how are you or anything, so that I know that, you people are wonderful. Okay, super, super, super. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Great. So, yeah, okay. I think since most of you understand Tamil, I'll start speaking in Tamil. எப்படி இருக்கீங்க? பசிக்குதா? ஓடி போலாமா? So the Tamil that I was taught was only these three words. And somebody told me, like, if someone says yes to all these three things, your life is set. Believe it or not, I used the very same opening some 4 or 5 years back when I was doing a session for entire Tamil Nadu. And the moment I said Odi Polama, somebody from the audience screamed, "Andha madri pai illa sir." Okay, and that became a bigger joke than what I said. So today I want to tell you guys two things which are brilliant learnings from my education session that I did, where I got educated. Was one, define your joke clearly. I should have told, when a girl says yes to all these three things, your life is set. Otherwise, I would not have faced that embarrassment. So the first rule is define your joke clearly. Second thing, when you are in Chennai, don't try to be smart, because Tamil people are already funny. So it is very difficult to give a education session to Tamil people, because it's very, very natural for them to be funny. But today, let us go ahead and talk about it. But like it was again said in the introduction, today I'm not going to be teaching you anything, or it is not going to be a very educational kind of a session. It's purely interaction. I just wanted to talk to you and see, if we could together kind of discover certain things. But before that, let us just talk, because it has been a long time since I have spoken to any of my Tamil Nadu colleagues as such. So I know the corona situation has been really, really bad, and every meeting starts with am I audible? Am I audible? Because am I audible is the new good morning. Stay home, stay safe is the new good night. And telling somebody, please go on mute, you have a background noise, is the most offensive thing to say. In fact, our Toastmasters should include, do not talk about religion, politics, sex, and don't tell somebody go on mute, because that is offensive. Tell them in a personal window, because people get so embarrassed with that. But you see, life has changed so much, and there are certain good things, there are certain bad things, but it is quite interesting how life has changed. Because I specifically remember, for example, when you were working and you were going to the office regularly, and you were watching these colleagues, especially your female colleagues, they're very particular about how they are dressed and how they look. So one drop of sambar on the chunni, and they would just run to the restroom and clean it up. and come out spick and span. Whereas now you see, after all these online meetings and Zoom sessions after Zoom sessions, it's like they are so comfortable with everything. Like, whose curtains are dirty, whose bedspreads are dirty, how dirty the walls are, and people are absolutely comfortable with it, right? And I was wondering, why are these softwares named this way? Because long before Corona, I used to think, why is Zoom called Zoom when it is a video interactive software? Why is TeamViewer called TeamViewer? But now I think they have, named these softwares with a very, very futuristic approach. TeamViewer means actually your whole team gets to view what is inside your house. Zoom is basically zooming into your personal life. And I'm telling you, the reason for all of this, the Corona pandemic happening and the situation that we are going through, is the motivational speakers in Toastmasters. No, I am serious. This is the truth, because these are the guys who have been constantly motivating everybody, saying things like, live like today is your last day, live like there is no tomorrow. So universe said, okay, live. And now we are in this situation where, we don't know whether we will exist tomorrow or not. But anyways, I'm telling you, these are several atrocities that people did. For example, in my organization, they ran a serious campaign saying sitting is the new smoking. And they brought in all these stand-up desks. And people were asked to stand up and work at the workplace, because they said, like, sitting is very bad, you should stand up and work. See, when you think of such extremities, extremities will happen. And that is why now you see people who are taking calls while sleeping. People have got so comfortable that they are lying down and taking calls. I'm telling you, very soon there will be a day when you will see your manager, lying on the lap of his wife and answering the call. She is feeding him grapes. And the only question anybody would have is that, no, this is really atrocious. Ashish, what are you doing? Are those grapes sanitized? That's all. No other challenges as such, right? And the thing is, like, how the corporate is getting into your house is very interesting. Other day, one of my friend was telling me that, he was on this Zoom call with his boss, and his wife suddenly comes and says, Arjun, I have clearly told you to order 5 kgs of rice. You have ordered only 1 kg of rice. He says, no, you told me only 1 kg of rice. And immediately his boss tells, no, she told 5 kgs of rice. That day we were also on a call. I heard it and I remember, right? So the involvement has become so much, right? They are calling workplace is the new home. So it is really interesting to understand whether the issues that happen in home, should they go to a family court or should they go to the HR workplace? And I suggest it is better to go to the HR workplace, because the solutions are quicker, and finally HR people will get some work to do at least. Anyways, so good, nice talking to you all. So the reason why I was talking to you all this was just to tell you that to come up with something humorous, or to come up with a funny script as such, you do not really require to get into something very different. It is not like, you should take a break and go to some secluded place, some hill station, sit down under a Nilgiri tree and then think of writing a script. But these are things that happen in your everyday life and things that are happening around you. So I'll quickly share a small presentation and we will keep on discussing. Let me know once you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see it.
Once. Done. Okay. So today we'll be discussing about this: why humor, what is humor, how to write humor, and how to get ready for the contest, and things after that. Now, the importance of why you need humor is funny things are the things that get immediate attention. And the next thing is, when you are funny, automatically it becomes a bond with your audience. So you create a great bond as such. Now, I still remember the last time when I was doing a session in Chennai, along with me, Vijay did a session on judging and basically contest management in terms of how you manage the judging and other things. And that was one of the most funniest sessions that I have ever attended, because normally these sessions are very standard and boring, but that session turned out to be very interesting because she started with a funny video of Vadivelu, where Vadivelu orders a dosa, uttapam, and he gives all this amazing description about uttapam, but finally the waiter just says like, one uttapam. So she talks about how we discuss so many things about judging, but ultimately nothing is really followed and people stick to very few bare minimum things. Now, this is something very important. I want everybody to understand where you think you are not funny. So being funny is not about you originally being funny or coming up with content, but it is more about the inclination to include something funny. So in this incident where I took an example of Vijay, she was definitely funny throughout the session, but the opening, she relied on something else and packaged it so well that it became a part of her session and it became so funny. Right? So do not ever think that, if you have to be funny, you have to sit and write content or something. Start with including something else that is funny, because that will create that bonding with your audience. And once the audience, has that relief, it is easier for you to go on. So now let us understand what exactly is humor. So if you're looking at jokes, punchlines, one-liners, unfortunately, this is not humor. Humor is something that has a point and a purpose. And this is one of my favorite, humorous speakers from your district, Jain. And Jain keeps posting these wonderful, quips once in a while. So basically, if you look at this picture, the picture itself is not funny. But when you look at the content that goes with it, like that anxious moment while my mentor reviews my speech, right? That makes it really fun. And that's what exactly humor is, right? That is why if you come with a collection of jokes in your speech, it doesn't work. Your collection of jokes should have a point to prove. And that is when it becomes a humorous speech. What exactly I'm trying to say is, let us say we have all those ant and elephant jokes, right? So you can't use ant and elephant jokes and try to create a speech. Or you can't have a speech and say like, after every 1 minute, I will tell you one joke and go back to the ant and elephant joke. Your humorous speech works when it is integrated into your speech. Okay. And that is what a good humorous speech is. Like, it has a purpose and a message. We'll get to this part of message and other things. It has to be really well organized. And then the humor should be understood by the audience. It's better if it is appropriate and clear and clean humor. And obviously, if it is delivered with high energy, then it is a better speech. So the ground rule I want you to remember is that, more humor doesn't mean a great humorous speech. Just like more chicken doesn't mean a good chicken curry. And if you're vegetarian, go to the second part, which is more doesn't mean more plum, right? So what we are trying to say is, if at all your speech is really good, your story is really good, the premise that you have set is really good, and what you are going to speak about is interesting, automatically, it will bring in a lot of laughter. It is not really required that you struggle and write every line to be a punchline. It all depends upon the kind of story you create. So story becomes the most important part as such. Now, how do you actually create that story? Or we will discuss the crux of the whole thing. So any story will have these three things, which is basically a context, a conflict, and a climax. Okay. This is the most critical part. So pay your maximum attention to this. So we are writing a speech. In the speech, there has to be a story. This story should have three things: context, conflict, and a climax. What is the context? Okay. So context is basically approximately what is the subject that you are going to talk about. This is basically the context. For the context, the most essential part. So imagine you are sitting down right now and starting to write your speech. How do you go about it is the first thing you should think of is audience. This might sound like a very simple, easier part, but this is the most critical one. Audience, 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 and thinking about audience will definitely make you into a humorous speaker. Because when you think about your audience, the first thing that happens is we leave our ego of what kind of a speaker we are. And this is really important for a humorous speaker. I'll give you a small example. The other day, I was speaking to somebody who is a fitness expert going to deliver a session to some 500 people about how they can lose weight and things like that. So I tell this person, start your speech talking about how amazing is food. Like a breakfast with pongal, this and all, it's amazing. A lunch with, biryani, etc., is amazing. A dinner with all this and a dessert is amazing. Definitely have that, but probably once in a while. If you start this way, people will connect with you. But the person immediately rejects the idea, saying like, no, I am not a foodie. I don't like food. So probably I wouldn't start like that. And that's a classic example of why we reject ideas. It is not about you. It is about the audience. And if you don't think of that, you will not connect with the audience. The other day, there was a speech, a humorous speech by somebody. This speech was based on Star Wars. So this person delivers this speech and nobody is laughing. Then I was the GE, so he asks me like, why nobody is laughing? I say, okay, we'll see. And when I'm doing the general evaluation, I ask the audience, okay, how many people know Star Wars here? One person raises his hand, and that was this fellow itself. So in an audience where nobody understands Star Wars, if you're trying to deliver a speech on Star Wars, it doesn't work. So audience is something really critical for you to leave your ego so that you will not reject ideas. You will also come up with a subject that will connect with people. And third and most important thing, why you should bother about audience is that this will turn your lifestyle into being a humorous person. So one misconception that many of us have after listening to many of these motivational speeches is that anything is possible. At any age, anything is possible, etc. is all good to hear. But trust me, for somebody who is living that life and somebody who is entering it, there is a difference. So for example, let us say it appears very easy to throw the javelin. And now that Neeraj Chopra has won it, it doesn't mean like, we start now, like we are working in the software company, but still in the evening, we'll make some time or Sunday, make some time, go and, throw some javelins and next year Olympics, it will happen. Because the difference is, here is a guy who is living that life, breathing it all through. And, he has trained in so many places. He has worked in so many places. His only job is to throw the javelin 24 hours a day. Compared to that, can we really compete? Is a very practical decision that you should approach. Similarly, when it comes to humorous speaking, like you are serious all through the day. You hate the world around you. You hate family. You hate people around you. All the time you keep forwarding hate content. All the time you are like really frustrated about the situations around you. But the moment Vice President Education announces that tomorrow we are having a humorous contest, immediately you cannot become humorous. Compared to somebody who is like every day spending time to write content, who is thinking of content. So when you think about audience, that will create the transformation in you to kind of leave all this and train yourself for being a humorous speaker. For example, somebody adds you to a WhatsApp group. Do you enter the group with a joke? You don't. You have to. Because it will be awkward. People will not laugh. People will not respond. You will be embarrassed. And that is what you need as a humorous speaker. The more you get acquainted with these situations, the more easier you are with cracking jokes, because they may work, they may not work, but you are fine with it. The most biggest, greatest god of comedy, George Carlin, said a beautiful thing. Being funny or being humorous is nothing but getting comfortable with that silence between a joke and a joke, right? Transitioning from one laughter to another laughter through that silence is being a comedian. So if you are afraid of all these situations about, how it is, how it works, because I have mentored at least some 300, 400 humorous speeches over the last 10 years, and every time my biggest problem with mentoring is the moment I tell somebody try this body language, no, it doesn't work for me. So putting this perspective, this is the most critical aspect, and why I am spending most of the time in today's presentation is because at the end of today's presentation, if you just leave with this one idea in mind, it's enough for me. It's about audience, what connects with the audience, what works well with the audience, how would audience enjoy this particular speech. If you are committed to that, you will write a great humorous speech as such. So audience is the most important aspect. Next one. So now that we have understood audience is important, what does audience want? You should understand one thing here. Your audience, especially your Toastmaster audience, are sadists. You heard it right. And please don't take any offense. This is in a good way. Why I say sadists is because the tendency for humor comes only from your failures. For example, you are a doctor and you successfully performed the first heart transplantation surgery in this country. There is nothing funny about it. You did the heart transplantation surgery but forgot your mobile phone inside the heart. Now that is funny. Failures are the only things that become funny. Your success doesn't become funny. So whenever a humorous speech tries to speak about success of you or something great that you have achieved, it will fall flat, because humorous speaking is all about how okay you are with your failures. Why few failures become funny is a very in-depth scientific topic, but I'll try to cover it as quickly as possible. See, when somebody talks to you about a failure, what they are doing is exposing their vulnerability to you. And as human beings, when somebody exposes their vulnerability, our immediate tendency is to be protective or to be caring about them. This protectiveness or caring is exhibited as laughter or as a release of these emotions. For example, if I tell you that, I never looked like a young guy even in my younger days. So there was this one time when I went to see a girl, and the girl herself asked me, "Who is the bride?" or who is the bridegroom. Now, when I'm telling this, the reason why you would laugh is because somewhere you understand. Come on, at his engaged, he might be looking young, but he's just telling this out of joke. So probably, he might be good looking at some point of time. Please nod. No, if you don't nod, I feel really bad at this point. Right. So basically, when we are delivering this particular concept, the thing is, in the mindset, like, okay, this is for a joke that is being told. This is not really true. And the other ideas that we come up in our mind are basically to counter the self-deprecation that I am doing. That is because, though, like I mentioned initially, we are sadists, we like to hear about failures. Immediately, we try to be protective of that as well. And that is why honest speeches win, the humorous championship as such, because you are being really open, and the human tendency or the human instinct is so strong that if you are trying to lie about something, then the instinct would know that okay, this guy is probably making up this story. So that is why it is very important you talk about your failures as such. Great. Then finally, the most important thing is tangent. whichever speech that goes in a tangential direction will catch the attention. This is very important, not to write stereotypical speeches, right? What happens to us when we are writing the speeches is that we generally write the same old beaten out of the bush speeches because of which it might not work. Like, for example, if you go on writing speeches about how your family wants you to get married, but you are not interested to get married, it is the regular stereotypical topic that we have heard over and over again. Imagine if you write a speech which is about you want to get married, but your family thinks you are not old enough. Now, that is a tangential direction. That's a twist or something different. So when you are setting your context, if you can come up with something that is different from the regular, then the premise itself is funny, because of which your story has the potential to become funny. So now with this FAT, you can come up with a brilliant context. Right. Next, go to the next one. So the first thing after having all of this is try to create as much drama in the speech as possible. Now, how do we create drama? Drama can be only created when there are characters. So if your speech goes in a monotonous way of about how you felt, what you said, etc., it doesn't come out as a dramatic speech. Whereas if your speech has characters, that there was a friend of yours, there was this, uncle of yours, or there was this Toastmaster mentor of yours, with whom all these interactions are happening, then there is a lot of scope for you kind of having these interactions and creating these situations. And there is a lot of scope for punches as well. Like, you cannot put a punch on yourself while you are talking in the first person. Whereas when you introduce a character, you have scope for a lot of these things. And second perspective, both from a voice as well as a body language perspective, this drama will enable a lot of things, right? All this dramatization automatically creates, these factors as such. One brilliant speech I am sure you guys all know is the Karthik's Lungi speech, right? Without speaking a word for the first probably 15, 20 or 30 seconds, the premise is set so well that you automatically, it becomes a setting for a great humorous speech. And that's mainly because of all these things, like, one, audience kind of connects with it. Two, it goes in a tangential direction from the regular speeches. And most importantly, there is so much of drama without even talking a single word. That's the brilliance of, creating these humorous speeches, where if you involve that particular drama, it becomes very exciting. Next thing is trying to add as many observations as possible. So for example, let us say you are trying to write a speech about your failure. What failure? Let us say you wanted to get into IIT Madras, but you couldn't make it. Interesting premise. Okay, so what all are your observations with regards to happening in terms of, a journey of somebody who wants to get into IIT? So if you list out all your observations, like probably you would study these specific books, you would attend these particular tuitions or coaching programs, you would read these particular materials, and these are the most complicated concepts when you are preparing for IIT. This is how mothers behave with you when you are studying for IIT. This is how fathers behave when you are studying for IIT. If you make out these observations, here you will be able to generate a lot of content. Let us say you come up with 50 different observations. So for example, somebody tells like, lady's finger is really good for mathematics. So every time you had a math exam, 1 week before that, you kept eating lady's finger or something, right? Now, these are certain very niche observations. Now you will have to try out in your club level or with your friends about, in this 50 observations, what are the 10, 15 observations that they will easily connect with? Which are the ones that are bringing smile on their face? And once you are able to collect those 10, 15 things, and that becomes your content. And then finally, like I said, everything has to come with a twist. Like, for example, you are preparing for this IIT and it is going on well, but then suddenly you discover that all your life you wanted to be, you loved eating food, so you wanted to become a chef. So imagine a story about preparing for IIT in which there is a lot of food related aspects mixed in, and towards the end it comes with a twist of becoming a chef. Now that could be very, very interesting and exciting. And then finally, the climax. The climax is where you have a conclusion. Now, this is one biggest question. Should humorous speeches have a message? Should humorous speeches have a strong motivational ending to it or whatever? And my answer is absolutely no. When we say a message or when we say a conclusion, what we mean is that the story really ends well. Like, for example, you are single, you are desperate, you wanted to get into a relationship. So you kind of explored for 6 months, your journey of, getting into a relationship. Wonderful premise, great story. Now, this story should have some conclusion that you got into a relationship. Great. You did not get into a relationship. Fine. You got into a relationship and that's when you realize that, you shouldn't have got into a relationship. Fine. Any of these three is fine. But if you end it at a place that I wanted to get into a relationship, so I got onto Tinder, I got onto Bumble, I happened this happened, that happened, this happened, and I'm still trying, guys, let us see what happens. May not be a great conclusion, right? So the story has to logically end. It's like, the movies that you watch, right? Amazing, movies have a proper ending to it. Whereas you come out of some movies not able to understand what was this movie all about, right? So that is exactly what we are trying to discuss. Fine. So now I guess you have a clear idea of how to create this whole structure. So let me kind of give one example that will kind of summarize all these three. For example, one of the prize winning speeches that I have written, championship winning speeches that I have written, my initial idea was absolutely nothing, but from that it became something fun. And here is where I want to tell each of you, if you are not somebody who is interested in writing, there is a very, 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 very rare chance that you might become a good humorous speaker. If you want to be a humorous speaker, you have to write on a regular basis and constantly keep on writing content, because only when you are writing, then it becomes something funny, or there is a chance to make it into something funny. For example, this was my speech. I sat down, I was thinking of what should I write about? Failure. Great. What failures do audience like or audience will connect with? Love failure is something that is easily to connect, and especially with my face, people will connect even better. So, okay, great self-deprecation, great possibility. Start writing about a love failure. So the idea was very simple. The first version that I wrote was, okay, I find or I see this girl, I find her very interesting. I go and propose to her and she rejects me. So this was my version 1.0. So the second observation or the second level of this is where I bring in the conflict, drama, observation. So how or why would she reject me? So, and when she rejects me, how do I put this in a way that it becomes more engaging? So to express my feelings and what happens, etc., I need a character. So for the drama, I bring in a character. So I saw this beautiful girl. I told my friend how much I like her. He tells me that there is no way she will like you because she's so beautiful and you are not so good looking. And then still I say, like, I would want to propose her, but then she ends up rejecting me. So this is version 2.0. So now I have a friend character. I have opportunity for all, the other aspects. So drama and other things. Okay. Now, how do we bring in the observations and the twists? So, okay. So the observations are basically in terms of how, a beautiful girl is compared to, how a not so good looking boy is compared to, what are some interesting word plays that can happen? What are the popular proverbs that are there with regards to love? So I wrote all these things down. And finally, when it came to the third part, which is the conclusion, that is where I created the third version or version 3.0 of this, which I actually delivered on stage. Goes on something like this. It was a brilliant Sunday morning, and I was in emptier restaurant. As I finished my Karabat and looked at the footpath, I saw this beautiful girl who looked like Kesri Bhat. That minute I knew we were made for each other like Chow Chow Bhat. I told my friend Sinu, Macha, I like this girl. He looked at her and said, Day, she will never like you. I said, Day, love is blind. He said, yeah, she is not. I said, but still, I really want to go and propose to her. He said, Day, look at yourself. She looks like a butterfly on a flower. You look like a buffalo in a river. There is no way she is going to accept you. Right? So this is what I delivered. Now, all that happened was it started from, I look at a girl, I try to propose her, she rejects me, to where it has come, just based on all the elements that we have discussed. Right? So once you start writing, automatically the versions that you are going to create will help you a lot. So finally, I am not able to see the timer. I just would want to know how much time we have left. Yeah, Dheeraj, is it a green background? Or?
Yes, it's about yellow.
Okay. Right. So some closing points. So how to get ready for the contest. And this is something that I always say, that if you just want to write a humorous speech, it's different. If you are writing a humorous speech for the contest, it's much more different. So if you are writing speech for the humorous contest, then be very particular. So for example, be very clear about the word count, because not everybody can deliver, speeches which are long. I am a big fan of Shamraj, and I think he's going to speak later today, or I'm not sure, because Shamraj is one of the very few people who can pull off 1,000-word speeches, 1,100-word speeches, but it's just not possible for anybody else. So you have to be very particular about your word count, especially if it is humorous. People will laugh sometimes so much that you will lose a lot of time. For example, in one of my speeches, I wasn't expecting so much of laughter. There was the kind of applause break for 30 seconds twice in my speech. Straight, I lost 1 minute. So the thing is like, you should be really, really specific about your word count. Try to involve all these things. First thing is rule of 3. So rule of 3 is where the first statement is normal, second statement is normal, and the third one is actually, it turns out to be a twist or a funny statement. So, it's something like, so many people died in Corona, so many people died in the American war, but nothing happens to my manager, right? So the third one is something completely disconnected and is different, which is basically rule of 3. Wordplay, like I said, unfortunately, a mistake because Karabat, Kesribat might not connect with the Tamil lingo, but typically it's a Kannada thing where Karabat is nothing but upma. So basically you are trying to play with words. So try to play with words. See things in a funny mirror. So this is really important. Like if I told you somebody was walking on the street, they were hit by a bus, you will say that that is not funny. Then I tell you like, no, that person was Charlie Chaplin. Immediately it is funny. Why? Because the way we are looking at this particular thing completely changes based upon the way we are looking at it. So try to look at funny things, poke fun on yourself. This is really important. If you start with self-deprecation, then you have the maximum, love of audience for you. So that is more important. And then practice a lot. So voice modulation is really important. When you have characters in your speech, automatically there is a chance for voice modulation. Body language, like I said, this is really, really critical. And nowadays, your contest being on Zoom, it's all the more difficult, but try your best to do this. Mentoring, again, is a very important thing for you to understand what is funny, what is not funny, what is working for you, what is not working for you. And here I want to tell you something. Mentor is not your district champion. Mentor is not your division champion. Mentor is somebody in your club or somebody who really has seen you over a period of time and understands. Please do not make this mistake of reaching out to some champion because he is funny, because it has a lot to do with how it will work with you, for you. So it's absolutely fine, even if your mentor is not humorous, but it is important your mentor understands and can push you to actually create a difference, right? So make sure you work with a mentor to understand what is working, what is not working. Pause and timing is really, really important. And that too with Zoom, it's all the more difficult. Like, for example, I think it's almost 40 minutes. And I still, if I'm having some kind of energy, it is because of Samyukta, because I can see that she's the only one laughing. So I'm hoping that she is the representative of the remaining 98 participants. And right. So pausing and timing is really important. Spontaneity is something which is good. Like, for example, if you are able to tag the most recent events in your district, or if you are able to talk about something that is going to happen later or that has preceded your speech, that makes it even more interesting. So these are some things that are more essential from a contest perspective. And finally, I just want to tell you this, that at the end of the day, it is not just about contest. Like I said, being funny is about being, it's about having a different lifestyle and how you look at things, about how you can take things easy and always, be the funny person. So I wish you all the very best. I hope you learned some interesting aspects from today's session, and I hope that you go on to be wonderful, humorous speakers and spread the spark of laughter in your circles. So thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity today. And with that, the floor is open for questions, and back to the PMOD or MC for today, Samyukta. Yeah.
Thank you so much, D.M. Kishore, for your wonderful session on humor. Because you said you were going to refute everything I said in the beginning, and you did it in the most funny way possible. One takeaway for me, obviously, was to be more aware of the people that I'm talking to, which is something that I miss all the time. So that's something I learned today, and I'm sure everyone in the audience also had similar key takeaways. The floor is now open for questions for DTM Kishore. So if anyone has any questions, you can put them in the chat box, or you can raise the virtual hand in Zoom so that the Zoom master can spotlight you. We have one question from Deepak Raj. He asks, when I write a joke and when I am reading it again, it doesn't seem like a joke. It's a joke when I tried it out with my friends, but it does not work later. What do I do about it?
Right. Great. So the most important thing I want to tell you is you are always a very bad judge of your jokes. So leave out the judging part to somebody else. In fact, I have a very standard stand-up routine that I do, and the ones that turned out to be the biggest punchlines are the ones that I never expected to be punchlines. So there are two things very important for you to understand. Either it is the wrong audience that you are delivering, or it is the wrong content that you are delivering. Unless you try out with a different set of audience, you don't know which content would actually suit for which particular audience, right? So for example, I had some very interesting observations from some theater background that I come from. And I used to constantly go on telling these jokes and nobody would laugh. That is when I realized that not many people come from the theater background, so they don't understand these things, right? So that is when I realized, okay, these jokes will not work for this. And I used somewhere else and they worked really well. So whatever you feel funny, please do write it down. Now go ahead, deliver it. Try to see what is it that is not making the cut. Is it because it doesn't have a good punchline? Or is it because you are not having a great storytelling technique? Or why? Try to improvise. Try with different sets of audience. You will see that it would definitely work with somebody. And somewhere, if you feel that it is working, but it only brings a giggle, but not really laughter, then it's to your discretion whether you want to use it or not. But the thing is, anything and everything can be turned into a funny material. So I would say that please do not judge your content. Let other people do it. Yeah.
Our next question from the audience is from Lakshman, and he asks if you have any more tips on conclusion and how to conclude a humorous speech effectively.
Right. So humorous speech or any other speech, the most important aspect of conclusion is that one, it comes to a logical ending. You are not leaving the audience midway. And the most important thing I want to tell you is ensure all the loose ends are tied. For example, I see this in most of our motivational speeches. Like, you know, I had some problem in my life. My professional life was really bad. My personal life was even more bad. And then my Toastmasters journey was also horrible. But then one day this happened and suddenly everything turned around. My professional life, I became, assistant vice president in a month. And in my Toastmasters journey, I became a DTM. And thank you for giving me this opportunity. Now the audience is dying. What the hell happened in your personal life? That is more important to us. You said like something was wrong with your personal life, right? So tying all these loose ends is what brings it to a logical conclusion. So whatever be the topic you take. So for example, humorous speech or humorous speeches or contest is the most best contest among all the remaining ones, because one, you get instant feedback. You know whether people are laughing or not. It is not like motivational speeches where you assume that people are motivated. No offense intended to motivational speakers, just a joke. So it is instantaneous, and the next important thing is you can play around a lot. For example, in motivational speaking, it has to be something that has happened in your life or you have taken inspiration from. Whereas in humorous speaking, you can pick up any incident. Your feeling should be genuine about it. Like, for example, once I gave a speech about how my biggest career goal, or when I was a kid, I wanted to grow up to become a bank robber, right? So I was always excited about becoming a bank robber because that is the most technically knowledgeable. You should know so many things, etc. And all. So yeah, it's imagination, but at the end of the day, it's a great story. So I would say come up with something wacky. Once you have something wacky, you know what are the loose ends, tie them towards the end, you have a great speech. Right.
Thank you. I hope that has answered Lakshman's question. We have one interesting question from the audience. He asks, should the script be funny or laughable?
Like I said earlier, we may not know whether the script is funny or not. So go ahead, try to write different versions of it, make the best of it and present it to the audience, see what can be changed, work over and over again. So that is how typically all the stand-up comedians work. If you see, that is why this term open mic is there. Open mic is basically to come and test your content. So you go test your content, you kind of change it, and then it becomes a good joke. So script definitely has to be funny. but it will not be funny. You have to get there. So it's a small journey as such.
We have one very important question. This is something that I wanted to raise as well. Abhinav asks that, he says, I feel audience reaction is very important while delivering a humorous speech, and it has become very difficult for him to do that over the online platform. So he asks if there are any tips to overcome this lack of audience response and still keep going.
Right, this is more of a technical challenge. The other day, I was delivering one of the speeches, and suddenly I get a chat message saying like, why are you not pausing for the laughter? And the reason is I don't know people are laughing because first of all, it is on some particular mode where I can see only myself on the screen. I tried the switching between speaker and gallery, but still it didn't work. So I am not able to see the audience. So this is definitely a problem for all of us because we don't know what exactly is happening. So one technical way out that I have seen from how it has been working in stand-up circuits is that a set of people, a specific set of people who would respond, etc., are made panelists, and they are unmuted. So their laughter is visible, which kind of gives you a feel of okay how the audience response is. Otherwise, this is a complete technical challenge where it is very difficult for people to understand whether people are laughing or not. And that is why one recommendation I have is try to make it conversational. So it shouldn't appear like you have cracked a joke and you're waiting for the response and response is not coming. So you kind of make it like a drift where you're talking, you're saying, you're just moving on with your content, and it doesn't seem awkward to yourself so that you can easily walk through the content. Yeah.
One question from Prabhakaran. He asks, while preparing the script, what interval do we have to make fun?
What interval? There isn't any interval as such. Like I said, like first of all, if the story itself is funny, what you are trying to tell, whatever is your story, if that story is funny, then automatically the entire length of your script becomes funny, and automatically all those narrations that you are doing, etc., all of that becomes funny. What I would say is this is strictly from a contest perspective, that if you constantly have laughter in your speech, there are higher chances of winning. Normally, there is a set rule that for a stand-up comedian, you should get a laugh every 15 seconds. Whereas for a funny or a humorous speech, every 40 seconds, I think, is where they say you need a laughter. Or even 4 to 5 good laughs in a speech is enough. But the more you are able to raise this, the more funny it becomes. Yeah.
We have one more question from Subhalakshmi. She asks how to speak flawlessly while delivering a humorous speech.
So again, it's a matter of practice. Of late, what I have been seeing is like there isn't so much of practice involved in the Toastmasters speeches. They are getting into this mode of no, I try to be natural, I try to be spontaneous. It doesn't work that way, and many people have this feeling that when they prepare well, it comes out that very unnatural, and they have prepared for it. Trust me, if you prepare well, it is like a sine curve. So it gets to a position where it looks very much prepared. And if you prepare further, it comes to a level where it looks natural. So you have to practice so much that it looks very natural to you. So practice is what I would say that will make you flawless.
Got one more question from Deepak, and he wants to know, in Zoom, we have challenges on body language while delivering, and the audience won't turn on the camera. So how do we motivate ourselves to speak?
So you have to be strong, and you should have a feeling that people like you. So just go on with the energy that you have and do it. Perform to the camera and not to the audience as such. So do not really worry much about audience turning on their cameras or not turning on their cameras. Because ultimately it is like, you're performing to the camera. So just go ahead with that. And from a body language perspective, trust me, recently I have been part of a couple of these tall tale contests. The way people have used Zoom is amazing. Like just like body language, there is so much to do with camera. There is so much to do with backgrounds. There are several other things like unimaginable things people are able to do, which is part of body language. Like, you just cover the camera once, you come back as something different. You are using props to a lot of other things. So there are multiple options. It all depends on, how creative we can get with this. So think about it. I'm sure you will come up with much better answers for that.
Thank you so much, DTM Kishore. We will get the responses to all the remaining questions in the upcoming panel discussion, and any further questions can also be taken offline. I would like to now request the Zoom master to post the feedback link in the chat box. I request everyone on the call to please fill the feedback form. It really helps. Yes, the form is live. I request everyone in the audience to please click on it and respond to all the questions. In the meantime, I would like to take a second to again thank DTM Kishore for taking time out of his Sunday morning to come and talk to us and for teaching us the science, the way of mastering a humorous speech, and of course, letting us know that more chicken doesn't always mean a better chicken curry, and that quality is always better than quantity. Thank you so much, DTM Kishore, for all the insights that you have offered, and we are very glad that we managed to catch you this morning. Thank you so much. Everyone on the call, I request all of you to please go ahead and fill the feedback form. It really helps to have all your inputs heard and listened to. While we are all filling the forms, I would like to announce that we will be meeting back for the panel discussion with some of our past humorous speakers in 10 minutes. We will also be playing recordings of some of the winning humorous speeches in the meantime. So please do grab your cup of coffees and teas and be right here to come and watch the speeches. We will be back in 10 minutes for the panel discussion. So please do come back. And of course, enjoy the videos in the meantime.
Can someone confirm if you're able to hear the audio?
Yes, we are able to hear it.
There is only one difference between the great Indian mathematician Ramanujan and me. Ramanujan was so good in mathematics and so poor in all the other subjects. I was so poor in mathematics and remember what I said? There is only one difference between Ramanujan and me, and that difference lies in mathematics. In the other subjects, we were both the same. Now, how many of you love mathematics here? Ooh. Others learn how to solve problems from them. And you learn how to live without problems from us. Dedicate this speech to all those innocent minds who still think that the world's most comfortable pillow was a mathematics book, and that a mathematics teacher was an alien who could never be understood. Yes, my dear friends, my rivalry with mathematics started on the first day of my school. My English teacher jumped into the classroom and said, "I'll give you rhymes. Here, learn the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star." I enjoyed her class. My science teacher jumped into the class and said, "I'll give you all about plants and animals. Here, learn the flowers." I relished her class. Finally, my maths teacher walked into the class and said, "I'll give you problems. Here, learn measurements." My dear friends, that was the only day that I came to know that a wooden scale can also be used to learn measurements. On all the other days, it was used only to measure my body's tolerance of pain. I really wonder, the English teachers never use their dictionaries to punish children. The science teachers never use their pipette, burette, telescope or microscope. Then why do these math teachers always use this wooden scale to thrash us? And why is it always made out of wood and steel when it can be comfortably made out of plastic? There is a hidden terrorism in this, my dear friends. See, I was not actually a complete zero in mathematics. I simply do not understand mathematics the way other mathematicians understand it. I have my own way of understanding mathematics. See, during my first grade, my mathematics teacher asked me to recite numbers in order. My uncle had once taught that to me. So I started. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great, continue, she said. I smiled and continued. Jack, Queen, King, yes. The lady asked me to bend down. I thought she was going to medal me. But the very next moment, I got a thunderous sound on my back, and the fellow sitting in the third row started crying. During my second grade, my math teacher asked me a question. "Shyam, how many times can you take 5 from 20? And what answer will you get each time?" I said I can take 5 from 20 even 100 times, and I will get only 15 every time. My parents were seated in the principal's room the next day. During my third grade, my mathematics teacher took us on a cultural tour to all the churches in Chennai. The next day, she asked me, "Shyam, what is 6 cross 2? I thought for a while and said, 8, man. "Idiot," she insulted me. "Only 6 plus 2 is 8. 6 cross 2 is 12. I could not take that insult. I shouted back, "Then why did you tell me that Christ was crucified on a cross? You should have told me that he was crucified on a bus." One sincere advice to everyone. Never drink coffee or tea when you are doing your maths assignment. It will definitely spill on that and you will definitely stand outside the classroom. Government says, don't drink and drive. Shyam says, don't drink and derive. In fact, maths examination hall is one horrible place for below average students like me. We have to go through many horrible phases. Phase number 1, immediately after the question paper is distributed to us, the first shock is that it is not science examination today. You look at your friend immediately and the surprise is, he also has the same shock. The phase number 2, during the course of the examination. My dear friends, the worst thing is not forgetting the calculator and logbook to the examination hall. The worst thing is having the calculator and the logbook and not knowing to which problem you should have. Your answer for the entire question paper will be over with 5 pages remaining in the main sheet itself. And you see everyone getting 15 additional sheets and you don't know why. See, at times, I even feel like talking to the question paper giver. The question paper says, "Shyam, prove the following. A plus B the whole square is equal to A square plus 2AB plus B square." I never said A plus B the whole square is equal to why should I prove that? Be so generous as you are, they will not accept my answer. So I try something different. Alright, okay, assume A is equal Assume B is equal to 10. Okay? If you can assume the letter A as number 5 and the letter B as number 10, why can't you assume A plus B the whole square is equal to A square plus B? Case number 3 is very important, my dear friends. You should not stand among the toppers immediately after the examination is over. One fellow comes running and says, the answer for the 23rd question is 5. Another fellow comes running and says, it is not 5, it is 5.05. My answer for such a question has always been minus 22,500. If you want to talk to someone, wait for 5 minutes, one fellow will touch you, look at him, he will have tears rolling down his eyes. And you will ask, bro, how many marks should we get to pass in this examination? He is the man you should talk to. All we below average students require is positivity. Don't tell us that you're going to give us problems. Tell us that you're going to give us solutions. Don't teach us probability, give us possibility. And don't ask us to find the value of X every time. It looks like a wrong sign. Ask us to find the value of P, it looks like a tick sign. And to the Toastmasters, don't call them X strong numbers. That's why you don't find them at times.
Karthik Mohandas, Gulu Gulu Gulu, Gulu Gulu Gulu, Gulu Gulu Gulu, Gulu Gulu Gulu, Karthik Mohandas.
कोहमदे महेंदुमा ये देवदीर्घ एक कैसा है यार how is it smart huh thank you be it any event in Toastmasters division conference JTP OTP or any TP time pass all Toastmasters ready with suit and tie. I don't know how it is humanly possible to manage Chennai's hot, Sri Lanka's hotter, and Vellore's hottest weather. That too, all the events last minimum 4 hours. From the day I joined Toastmasters, I wanted to transform this. Today, I revealed the future of Toastmasters. Cool and breezy. Gulu 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 gulu. Divan, jogging with sarang will be breezy, man. Contest master and people who are sitting here with the uncomfortable attire and looking for gulu gulu experience, good morning. The transformation has already begun. Not in Chennai, not in Vellore, not even in Colombo. It happened in international arena, Washington DC. Our contest chair DDM Balraj Arunachalam ignored the suit and wore glorified lungi called vesti. Even our lungi stands as per the Toastmaster values of respect, service and excellence. When you tuck your shirt and tie your lungi with a Toastmaster pin in your pocket, which is sign of excellence. When you fold your lungi and tie like this, you are ready for service. When you see any senior Toastmaster or district leaders, remove and leave. Respect. With all respect, in Toastmasters, we are spending too much for Toastmasters. Renewal of $45, registration fee for reverberation, ovation, and all our money under evaporation. In addition, every Toastmasters will spend minimum 5,000 rupees for the suit and tie. If it is lungi, 150 rupees. Even you can escape from the embarrassment of wearing the same suit for all the conference. Lungi, dosa night, one design. Semi-finals, one design. Finals, one design. One size fits all sizes. Be it Jayan Narayanan, Sudash Lianage, Adarsh Warrior, or Sudat Fernando, 70-inch will fit all inches. Lungi will change the attitude of people. One of the poorest soul in ExCom member is Vice President Education. Nobody listens to him. Nobody respects him. Vice President Education's lungi will change the attitude of people. When you fold and tie like this, your body language automatically changes. Ramalingam, A counter. Suganti, vote counter. Shasta, already too much of noise, no roll. Agenda sealed. When you do this, a word of caution, wear shorts. Or else too much of gulu gulu gulu. When it comes to contest master will be a strict officer. He will give direction and orders to everyone. One of the important order is, Sergeant at Arms, collect the mobile. That poor fellow press the panic button, you search for cover, handbag, carry bag. If it is lungi, kangaroo bag. You can put your mobile, tablet, laptop, your kid, even you can come inside. Fold it, hold it. Men always complain about women for not getting ready for any occasion on time. In Toastmaster conference, if there is a delay, it's because of the men sitting here with the suit and tie. If it is lungi, you are ready in 2 minutes. You can wear it from the top, you can wear it from the bottom. Be like a man. All men sitting here are happy. Women are thinking, what is in it for me? Ladies, lungi is a unisex costume. All men, women and others can wear. It has got plethora of designs like sari. Raveen, what are you thinking? This gulu 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 is not possible? Huh? Look back. Look back. The transformation has already begun. Gulu 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 gulu. Contest master.
All right, everyone, we are back. Hope you've had a good laugh just as I did with your cups of teas and coffees and the 2 amazing humorous speeches that were played so far. We're all pumped and we are all ready for the second half of today's session. The first half told us what we need to learn, what we need to know, and what we need to have covered before we start the speech. In the second one, We will hear from experience. We will hear from people that have been certified and awarded as funny. And all of their responses will be moderated by 1/3 of the district trio. Our program quality director, DTM Aarti Mangalam Jairaj. DTM Aarti has been a Toastmaster for the past 5 years, and she started off as a Vice President Education. She has served as an area director, as a TLI co-chair, as a division director, and is also now currently the program quality director of District 120. She has also been a district contestant in the table topics contest and a division contestant in the ISC and evaluation contests. She is a leadership trainer, a linguist, a psychometric assessor, a coach, and a mentor, and has 17 years of experience in the learning and development space. She's a triple postgraduate holder in mass communication and journalism, linguistics, and psychology, and she's currently pursuing her PhD. With a wide range of interests, she pursues education based on her passion. And as someone who has interacted with her in the past 1 or 2 weeks, I can personally attest to the fact that she is also one of the sweetest people I have met in this fraternity. DTM Aarti, the stage is yours. Please take it away.
Thank you so much, MC of the day, Toastmaster Samyukta. The minute she introduced me as 1/3 of the trio, I'm glad that I became the trio recently. If not, she'd have probably said half of the trio, depending on my size and weight. With that, let's move on to the most awaited session of the day. But before I call the panelists, we have one more speech. There are 4 panelists, but unfortunately, we do not have one of the speeches of one of the panelists. I will play the last speech and then I will move into the panel moderation. Let me share my screen. Can someone confirm if you're able to hear the audio?
Oh, video hasn't been played yet.
Bad things always happen to me. Toastmaster Chidambaram, yes.
Contest Master, do you believe bad things always happen to you? Is there anyone else in the audience who also believes bad things always happen to them? I never had this thought because bad things never happen to me. Bad things only happens to the people around me. Contest Master and Toastmasters, it all started when I was studying 10th standard. One day, my grandma and I were walking towards a temple. Suddenly, a black cat crossed my path. On seeing this, my grandma got anxious. I consoled her by saying, "Grandma, don't worry. These are just superstitious beliefs. Nothing will happen to me." To which she replied, "I know nothing will happen to you. I'm worried about that cat because you came across that cat's path." Just before she finishes her sentence, I saw 4 dogs chasing that cat. This continued in my college days also. From my childhood days, I hate coffee, but all my friends in the college love coffee. So one day, they took me to a famous coffee shop, which was there for 12 years. I had coffee there. Exactly a week later, a huge bulldozer came and crashed that coffee shop, stating it was built on an illegal land. For 12 years, the government haven't noticed this. Just after I went there, this continued in my interviews also. One day, I had an amazing interview in a famous company. The next day, I heard that the interviewer got fired. For this reason, I lost job opportunities in Google, Apple, Facebook, Microsoft, Tesla, Tinder. Not because I didn't perform well, just because they were scared of losing their job. When this whole world is scared of me, the only organization which accepted me is Toastmasters. Right after I joined Toastmasters, I received a mail from Toastmasters International. A legacy program for 30 years called competent communication and competent leadership will be banned. I don't want things to get violent, so I decided to stay silent. But the club president came to me and asked me to deliver my icebreaker speech. I agreed. I prepared my speech, went to the stage, intending to set the stage on fire. When I was about to deliver my speech, the fire alarm started ringing. Everyone in the office started shouting, fire, fire, fire. That day, the meeting got cancelled. After this incident, the club VP told me that before delivering your further speeches, you should select your mentor. I agreed. First, I chose the past district table topic champion, Toastmasters Sheikh Dawood as my mentor. Sheikh Dawood, who was in this club for 4 years, not only left the club, but left Toastmasters. Next, I chose the past star area director, Toastmasters Shreya Singh as my mentor. Shreya Singh, who was in this club for 7 years, not only left the club, but left the state and stopped mentoring anybody. Finally, I chose the past district level first runner-up in ISC contest, distinguished Toastmaster Shubhadeep Banik as my mentor. Shubhadeep, who never missed even a single meeting for 10 years, stopped attending the meetings. It's just a matter of time. He will also leave soon. One day, my then mentor Shreya Singh told me that, Chidambaram, you should start networking with other club members. Go and attend a district event. It will be an amazing experience for you. I agreed and attended District Conference Ovation 2019. I became friends with many Sri Lankan people. The next day, the international director announced that from next year, Sri Lanka will be separated from Tamil Nadu. Even Sri Lankans don't want to take a risk. The club elections came. Our club parliamentarian Shubhadeep came to me and told, buddy, go and stand for president. I got shocked. I warned him, literally begged him not to make me as president. In spite of being a distinguished Toastmaster, he never realized listening is as important as speaking. He persuaded me with his magical words. I became president the last year. Look what happened. During that renewal cycle, half the members left the club. 1 month later, our company told that all the club meetings should be stopped. 2 months later, Toastmasters International, an organization which is striving for 98 years, stop meeting. Oh, do you still believe it's because of COVID? No. Speaking of the COVID situation, how many of you are literally irritated of attending meetings like this, attending district conference like this? Contestants fed up of contesting through online, people fed up of work from home, people fed up of not being able to meet their loved ones, people fed up of not being able to travel. Even going to market becomes riskier these days. And on top of this, some people are predicting there will be a third wave of COVID. Are you serious? Are you worried about the third wave of COVID? Don't worry. Third wave of COVID will not come to India. Because since yesterday, I feel feverish. So don't worry. Third wave of COVID will not come to India anymore. Contest Master.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen of District 120. With that, we are done with the videos and we'll move on to the panel discussion. Once, a young writer went to Charlie Chaplin and asked, I'm trying to create a scene where this fat, lady comes and there is an open manhole and she falls into the manhole. But how do I make this scene, which is so commonplace, different, yet funny and interesting? So Charlie Chaplin said, show the lady walking fast and coming close to the manhole. While everyone is anticipating that she's going to fall in the manhole, make sure she definitely passes the manhole and she does not fall into it. But after she puts the first step in front of the manhole, let her put the next step and there let her slip on a banana peel and fall. And this was one of the ideas that was incorporated in an iconic movie. The beauty of humor is in the unexpected. And today we have 4 amazing speakers with us, champions in the humorous speech contest, to share what was mind-blowing and what was unexpected in their speech. To introduce the first panelist, I asked this gentleman, if I have 5 bottles in one hand and another 5 bottles in the other hand, what do I have? He looked at me seriously and said, Aarti, you have a drinking problem. Make sure you're admitted in Alcoholics Anonymous. And that, my dear friends, is our very own Toastmaster Shamaraj. With the iconic speech, Sergeant at Arms is my math teacher in the hall. Let's put our hands together and welcome Toastmaster Shamraj. Welcome, Sham. We can assure you that your math teacher is not in the hall.
Thank you, Mike.
Everyone looks good in a suit, even a loser. But to be a winner, you've got to dress differently. And that is what this speaker brought to the table. Let me take the privilege of welcoming Toastmaster Karthik Mohandas. Gulu gulu gulu, gulu gulu gulu. Toastmaster Karthik Mohandas. I think he's changing, and that's why he needs a couple of more minutes to come online. Zoom Master, can you help us?
Well, Karthik is not starting his video. I've asked him to start his video. Maybe you can go to the next speaker. Meanwhile, I'll try to sort this out.
Sure. Thank you, Zoom Master. There was once a robber in a hotel. 2 of them were trying to rob the hotel. At that particular time, they heard a siren and they knew that the police were coming to catch them. So these 2 robbers started running down the flight of stairs so that they could escape from the police, only to discover that another battalion was running up the flight of stairs. So one of the robbers says, come, let's jump into this floor and let's hide over there. And the other one says, are you serious? It's the 13th floor. How do you even imagine that we walk into the floor? There are many such superstitions. And this particular person who spoke about superstition managed to win the humorous contest once again. And he is our Toastmaster, Adil Ibrahim. Adil Ibrahim, distinguished grandmother, Adil Ibrahim.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. The next person I'm going to introduce is one of my own favorite jokes from the actor Nagesh, which I'm going to be using over here. Once, Nagesh has gone to an astrologist and wanted to know how his future would be. The astrologist read his palm, read his jadagam that they call, I don't know what the horoscope. Yeah, read the horoscope. Right now, you're going through what is known as the year Natisani, which means difficulty is going to follow you in every aspect for 7.5 years. Nagesh, with all curiosity, said, oh, so what happens after 7.5 years? And the astrologer said, you will get used to it. Similarly,
Ma'am, you have gone on mute, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Sham. The Zoom master decided to mute me also. They want to get in the questions. So with that, let me introduce the last speaker, for today, Toastmaster Chidambaram. Toastmaster Chidambaram, thank you so much and for joining us today.
Thank you, Aarti.
We welcome all the panelists. Zoom Master, could you confirm about Karthik Mohandas?
He seems to be having issues in starting his video, but
Or maybe you could just have his audio. Karthik, could you confirm if you could join us through audio at least? Okay, we will continue. And Karthik, whenever you are able to join us, please feel free to jump in. Zoom Master, if you could help coordinate with Karthik, that would be great. Thank you so much. With that, we'll start with our panel moderation. Let me start with the latest winner in this series, which is Toastmaster Chidambaram. Chidambaram, could you quickly describe to us in one word your emotion when you won? What was the emotion when you won?
Happiness.
Happiness. Okay, thank you so much. Toastmaster Adil, what was that one unique compliment that you received?
In one word, or can I use a sentence?
One word. This is one word answers.
I own the stage.
You own the stage. Fantastic. Thank you so much. And Toastmaster Shamraj, could you in one word describe the difference between pre-winning and post-winning?
Satisfied.
Okay. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Sham. That was just a precursor to the entire start. I have one question, which I would like each of you to answer. The question is going to be the same. This time, let me start with Toastmaster Sham. Sham, how many years of a struggle was it before you made it as a humorous champion? Okay. And what kept you going?
Okay. Do we have a time, Aarti ma'am, like for every answer 1 minute or so?
Yes, we will keep it at 1 minute.
All right, great. I attempted a humorous speech contest in the year 2009. I was in Karnataka, and I did not know I could present a humorous speech. My VP Education told me, if you participate in this contest, that speech will be counted as CC4. So I participated. And then it worked well. It moved on to the area, division, and I got into the district contest. But then I couldn't make it in the district contest. I had to learn a lot. And I was there for 1 more year, but then I didn't participate, but I was so curious about humorous speeches. I had a break in Toastmasters. I joined again in 2015, but all the while I had been thinking about how good it was when I was in the humorous speech contest. So it was not that I was trying and failing. I was thinking about it continuously. So when I joined in Toastmasters in the year 2015, I started with the humorous speech contest. And luckily that year I was able to clear the district level. So I could say it was 2 years that I had been into the track, but then 5-6 years that I had been thinking about it.
Thank you. Thank you, Sham, the man with the Midas touch who managed to crack it the second attempt itself. But like a wine, he was doing his ideas, and that's why that came out as amazing victory speech. Thank you, Sham. Adil, I would like to know this, by nature, are you a humorous person? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. The same question. How many years of a struggle before you made it to the humorous champion, and what kept you going?
I made it in my first year itself.
Okay.
So as soon as I entered club level, I was not actually sure about my humorous skills, but when I crossed area level, that I had a lot of people who were supporting me, and they said that yes, I can at least clear division level. So that support kept me going till that district.
Fantastic. Thank you, Adil, another person with the Midas touch. So now we'll move on to Chidambaram with the same question.
Yes, Aarti. I started contesting in the year 2019. I first contested in the humorous contest in the year 2019, and I could proceed only till area level during that point of time. And I realized that contest is the place where exponential learning happens. So I thought it made me disciplined, and I could able to learn a lot from the process of the contest. So that kept me growing. So I noted that I made 6 mistakes in that area contest. So this time when I contested, I should try to reduce that mistakes. And this time it worked. And I could only able to reduce only 3 mistakes from this contest. So only by reducing 3 mistakes, I could able to win district contest. This is unexpected, but what kept me going is the fact that contest is the place for learning. And if we learn from my mistakes, I could able to proceed to the next level. So this is the fact that kept me going.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Chidambaram. We always speak about how mistakes are our stepping stone. And I think that's what you've told us over here. Thank you so much. But then I'll move on to the next set of questions. Shyam, this is for you. Between each level, like from club to area, division, and district, what was the difference in your script, or how did you go about making the changes to your script?
Okay. Like with my speech, the script did not change, Aarti. I had the same script all through, but then I knew where I had to slow down. Like I had difficulties in slowing down. I naturally speak very fast, and I did not know where to pause, or at least to be slow. So when I delivered a few jokes at the club level, I had laughter here and there, wherein I did not need to give a pass. But there were some areas where people complimented by the end of the contest. They said, Shyam, I enjoyed this joke. But then I couldn't laugh, because if I were to laugh, I would miss the next joke. You started the next joke. So this learning happened at the area level, division level. You know that the crowd grows bigger and bigger. So it becomes authentic to you. Yes, people need this time to laugh. People need this time to digest what we said. So in my speech, like there is very little passes here and there. However, that happened only as a learning through the area and the division. In fact, one day before the district contest, I had 2 or 3 Sri Lankans sitting in front of me. They were trying to tell me what they understood and what they did not understand. So that was too late for me to remove that joke and add something else. So I only decided to make that slow. So no change in the script, but change in the pace. It happened through all those stages.
Thank you, Shyam. Our education speaker, Kishore, was telling that you speak at a rate of 1,100, or your script is 1,100 to 1,200 words long. Thank you for sharing that. Adil, this is for you. How do you prepare for being impromptu? One thing that I did learn about your speech, though we couldn't see the video, unfortunately, was that the contest master was missing. So instead of addressing the person as contest master, you said contest podium, and that was impromptu. How do you prepare yourself to be impromptu?
It was just a gut feeling at that time, because the entire script I was preparing for like 4 or 5 months, because it was like completely embedded in my brain. So just one thing, if I could improve, what would that be? At that time, there was a restriction that we cannot use any other speaker's reference. We had that verbal restriction. So what I did was, okay, I have to incorporate something which is happening around us. It should not be a major part of the speech. So just in the beginning, it was just in a flash of mind when I turned, contest master was not there. So I just said contest master's podium. And by looking at the audience response, I understood that audience loved that. So again, at the end of the speech, I was like, over to contest master's podium. I left the stage. So it worked well.
Thank you, Adil. That's fantastic presence of mind. And I think what worked for you was that you connected again at the end. And thank you, contest master, for being absent at that point of time. So Chidambaram, this is an interesting question. I think only you will be able to answer this for us. You are the first contestant to have won in the online mode. You know, while all of us are struggling, you know, especially humor, we hear this comment. How do I even, make a joke when I can't see the audience reaction? How did you overcome that challenge?
Yes, Sati, that's a very good question. I believe that there are advantages and disadvantages in everything in life. So in real contest, if you make a joke, if there are 1,000 audience, the audience at the end could not see your reaction more clearly. But whereas in online contest, everyone can see your reactions more clearly. So this is one of the advantage of the online contest. So how did I prepare? And another important thing was, when this is for me, when I face more audience, I might get nervous every time. And during online contest, of course nervousness was there, but it was less when I compared it with the live event. So there are advantages and disadvantages in everything. So for pauses, what I did was I practiced twice every day. First time when I practiced it with my friends and with many people. I practiced with diverse audience. During one day, my friend's mom were present, and one day my friend's sister were present. So at that point, and one day, every day, my mentor will be present. So at that point, I will note down what are the places I should be giving pauses. And at the end, during night, I will practice once again, because during the contest day, no one will be turning on their video. And I should be speaking only through the lens. I should not see myself in the video. That is also an important part. So at the end, at the end of the day, I will practice alone, and I will record the session, and I will view it again. Have I given the right pauses? When I started this first, I will complete my speech either within 5 minutes or it will take 8 or 9 minutes. But throughout the practice, I got used to it, and I think that worked. That helped me.
Thank you, Chidambaram. I think the tip of trying it out all by yourself without an audience means a lot. So thank you so much for that. And then I'll move on to the next question. Sham, math. I know all of us struggle with math. There are so many jokes around mathematics. Why did you choose this topic?
Now, I should say the topic chose me. Okay. Now, I've always been a kid who struggled in mathematics. So I should say these are factors that have been running in my mind for a long time. Now, when you say the question goes, prove that a plus b the whole square is equal to a square plus 2ab plus b square. Now, I should prove only what I said. I should prove only what I believe. I never said it is like that. Why should I prove that? Now, this has been a question with me for a long time. In fact, when you say assume is a very general word in English, but they use it very commonly in mathematics. So I've always felt like that. It was running in my mind. I knew that people would connect with it, but then I would like to buy the point of Kishore here. Like during his education session, he said it is the observations that matter. So when I say I was poor in mathematics, there is no joke in it. My mathematics teacher was like this. No, there is no joke in it. But when you get into the details, when you say about the logbook, you talk about the calculator, you talk about the toppers discussing the answers by the end of the examination, you look at the question paper and panic. Like these are the pointers which people could think and connect, I felt. Now, I felt this even before the club contest because this is our chit chat topic with my regular friends here. Like they were all together poor in mathematics. So when we go for a tea, we talk about the teacher who taught mathematics and how he felt when she taught those topics. Like when I was able to laugh, I knew the thousands of people will also be able to laugh. That was the understanding. So I should say the topic chose me. I wouldn't have gone for any other choice.
So Sham, just an add-on question. Are you a humorous person by nature?
No, I enjoy humor. Like I would say, I was not a humorous speaker, or I'm not a humorous speaker. I can't believe that very strongly. But what I can believe is, if there is a joke cracked in the hall, I would be the one to laugh out loud. I will be the one to laugh for a long time. Even after everybody has ceased, I would still be laughing. I enjoy humor so much. So what I believe, or maybe I can recommend is, if you enjoy humor so much, you can present humor so much. I'm the guy who enjoys humor so much. I like all kinds of jokes.
Thank you, Sham. That, my dear friends, is a cue for you to watch a lot more humorous speeches and comedies and start enjoying. Thank you, Sham. We have Karthik with us. Karthik, thank you so much for joining us. We missed a few questions. I'm going to ask the questions to Karthik and then circle back to the rest of the panelists. Karthik, one-word question. Can you describe your speech in one word?
What people told me is, how dare you? That's what everyone was telling. How dare you do this?
How dare you? Looks like the title for your next speech, but that's nice. Thank you, Karthik. The other question, this is particularly only to you, is what was the pre-contest prep that you did? I've been hearing, I was not a Toastmaster then, but I've been hearing that you had some preparations or plans done through the fun night. So can you talk to me about that?
No, it is started right from the design, which I'm going to buy, all that, what color it has to be, what color shirt it has to be. So everything was planned before, and the day before the finals, after completing my semi-finals and during the finals, there was a discussion happening between my mentor and I. We were driving back to our hotel, and then we are coming for the fun night. So he was telling this idea. So 4 divisions are Sri Lanka. They have not witnessed your speech. So what we can do is, let us register this lungi in their mind. So during the fun night, go to them and ask in Sinhalese that how is my costume? That's it. So I went across to all the Sri Lankans and asked, Osa Kohomade Yandume, Osa Kohomade Yandume, Osa Kohomade Yandume. I don't mind what is the response, but this is the question I asked all the Sri Lankans. So Osa Kohomade Yandume. Even in my speech when I started, Osa Kohomade Yandume, there was a guy, Shua Rudesh. He was, oh my God, that's why he was going to everyone and asking this question. So that is the registration it had. So even Jayan, right? The marketing guy, the kind of I always tell this Basha, the movie, he will come and say to the police, right? The doctor, someone who has all the revenge can do this. So that is the kind of mentor Jayan is. Someone who understands the marketing, right? How you market yourself. So that is the kind of registration it had when Shruva Ridesh reacted. Oh my God, that's why this guy was running around yesterday. So that is the registration it had. That is a pre-work, maybe I would say. And other thing is that lungi on the finals which I had is from Malaysia. And there are a lot of lungis came from Sri Lanka as well. People brought in, but what I wore, that is from Malaysia.
Thank you so much, Karthik. That's an interesting anecdote about pre-work and the costume. We were into the second round, so after Sham, you would be the person, so I'm going to ask this question to you. Why did you choose this particular topic? It's unique in many ways. So why did you choose, or what was the inspiration behind this topic?
Okay. 2011, before I joined Toastmasters, I went for a Toastmaster conference. Before joining Toastmasters, I went to a Toastmaster conference on Sunday morning, Egmore, Marina Towers. Imagine on Sunday morning, I was with a Spider-Man t-shirt and sneakers, and my wife is also casual, and we both were there. And 8:30 in the morning, Sunday, all these guys were suit, and I was looking at my wife, are we in Chennai? So that is the question I had immediately. So maybe after joining Toastmasters, we were accustomed to it, and but I was keep on thinking why Chennai is a different place and why we have to use this costume maybe. So that is where it started. And even my wife teases me, my favorite costume in home is lungi. And she used to tell me, don't say you're born and brought up in Chennai. Why don't you have shorts? So that tracks all that. So I'm not comfortable with it. See, on that day, VP was calling me, G, served as area director, you served as division director, contest is coming. I nominated only for evaluation contest. I wanted to be the evaluation champion. That's what I was registering in my mind. And this guy was, if you are not participating, what is this in club level? I have to appreciate that fellow, Muhammad Azharuddin, who asked me to participate. So or else I wouldn't have participated on that year. So on that night, when my wife was teasing about this costume, why don't we talk about this lungi? So that is what it came in, and I was placed third in evaluation in area contest. I was first in humorous speech contest. So I was lost in evaluation. So that's where, okay, let's focus on this. Until that point, I have not contacted any mentor, nothing. Only one guy, Uday Kumar Kesavelu, was from my club. We were discussing about the concept, how we can do this. We were building up. So I've not written the script, only the ideas. I had some 35 ideas. So that is what happened.
Thank you so much, Karthik, for responding to that question. Now moving on to Adil. Adil, same question to you. Yes, you spoke about superstitions and your grandmother, right? Why did you pick up that particular topic?
First of all, I've faced many things, and the belief system which I spoke about was, most of it was my real life experience, but that was a very serious topic. So that was when I started to look on the other side. If you look at the funny side of it, there were a lot of things which were not spoken publicly. People kept it in mind. So, but I was also hesitating that I should not touch any religious things in it. I should stop that hurting some people sentimentally. So what I did was I came up with some 15, 20 things, funny things about superstitious beliefs. I gave it to few people and I asked, like, do you think it is funny or does it hurt your sentiment? So a few of them have pointed out one or two things. They have removed it. Then I finalized that, okay, this must be the right topic to reach to the entire audience. It is not some niche, something about my corporate office or my college, anything. It was very generic. Everybody has a grandmother. So when I speak about grandmother, everybody is going to love it. And I made sure I did not hurt anyone for the entire 7 minutes. That's why I chose that.
Thank you, Adil. I think we can definitely, identify with that, because all of us have grandmothers and all our grandmothers have superstitious beliefs. So thank you so much. Chidambaram, yes, all of us talk about self-deprecating humor, but we love the way you picked instances of your life and connected it with what was happening around the world. How did you pick up this particular topic? How did you even make the connections?
How did I choose this topic? That's the time when I was the president and COVID strike. When we came home, we started working from home and started attending online meetings. And I remember one day Jayan told in a session that humor comes from pain. So in my when I started to think I have to contest for this humorous session, the first incident which struck me is this painful incident, and I started to find a pattern in my real life. All these incidents happened in my real life, so I found a pattern in it. But I couldn't able to connect with the audience initially because when I start a script at first, it looked like a serious speech, and that's the time. I believe I'm not a humorous speaker also. I'm an introvert, so I thought whether I should try this, and I asked this doubt with my mentor, and he told that he helped me how to connect. He helped me to bridge the gap between me and the script and with the audience. That's how this script was born.
Wonderful, wonderful, Chidambaram. I'll start with you for this particular question. Your title. Now, all of us say the title is extremely important, but your title, bad things always happen to me. Can you elaborate more on how did you derive at this title?
I chose the title at the end. When I started to jot down the incidents, I found a pattern that bad things always happen to the people around me. So I found a pattern, and when I discussed with with my mentor, and if I kept this as my title, I will giving away the message right at the title. So that should be a twist in the title itself. So I chose the title right at the end, and only at the end we can decide what could be the suitable title also. This is my belief, and that's how we chose this as our title, my title. Yes.
Thank you, Chidambaram. Distinguished grandmother, Adil.
Actually, I had different titles in my club and area level. So in club level, I just titled it as Why Not, and in area level, Belief System directly. Then after area or club level, even at division level, nobody has complimented my title. Like, nobody has spoken anything about my title. So I thought, okay, it's not making any impression. Let me change this. So that is the reason. There is a line in my speech where I address my grandma as DGM. So I thought, why not keep that as a title so that they will introduce to the character earlier. So as I thought, after district contest, many people have said that that was an apt title. So that's how.
Thank you, Adil. Gulu, 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 gulu. I had to practice this at least a couple of times for today. So Karthik.
Okay, my club level title is Why Don't We Change This? And after club level, area level, it is You Are the Future of Toastmasters till my semifinals. And even for the finals, I had You Are the Future of Toastmasters as a title, and that is what I signed and gave it to Contest Master. Satish is having, Contest Chair was having the title as You Are the Future of Toastmasters. And Jayan texted me, why don't we change the title to Gulu Gulu Gulu, Gulu Gulu Gulu, Gulu Gulu Gulu. And he sent an image. The image says, I don't like eating fish because it goes to enter the stomach and it keeps swimming, Gulu Gulu. There is a message, some funny meme. And that image, and as well as the title, why don't we change this title? So then I texted Satish before the contest, before he goes to the stage, I texted him, this is my title, please change this. So Gulu Gulu Gulu, Gulu Gulu Gulu, Gulu Gulu Gulu. That's how. And after that, all that changes, too much of Gulu Gulu Gulu, all that happened during that when the speaker was delivering the speech. I was thinking, how do we build this into the speech? So all that were happened at the last minute, it happened.
Karthik, I'm just going to add on to this question. Okay, we know the contest master Satish Kumar, and contest masters are predominantly given the instruction that you're not supposed to emote the topic. Okay, while all the other topics were quite straightforward, gulu 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 without emotion. I mean, like the way I'm saying it, did you ever worry that it might not have the impact, or even without the impact, you thought the title would still, without the voice modulation, the title will still have its impact?
No, as soon as I saw the title, right? Why don't we change the title to Gulu Gululu? I felt, wow, it will connect. So it will kindle the interest, because everybody knows and everybody discuss, hey, this guy who was with the sarang and did the speech. So everybody was talking about what did I spoke. So if I change the title or do something, it might kindle their interest. They know what I'm going to do. So immediately I had that thought, that gut feeling was there. Okay, we'll go ahead and change. So that's what.
Okay, thank you, Karthik. Sham, your title, Sergeant at Arms, is my math teacher in the hall. Why this particular title?
Now, I somehow feel that fixing a title for a humorous speech is very difficult. You can't go and finalize one topic. Like in international speech contest, they say, let your call for action be somehow connected with the title. But then we don't have such a theory here in humorous speech contest. My topic was different for every level. And as Karthik said, my topic was also decided only during the lunchtime on the district contest day, a few minutes before the contest. The idea in mind was, like, initially it was A plus B the whole square. In the division contest, I remember it to have been A plus B the whole square. Now, some people said, we thought you were going to metaphorically connect that equation with life or something like that. So we wanted to keep it straightforward. The word maths had to be in the topic, and they should know that I was bad at mathematics. I was scared of my mathematics teacher. So somehow we got convinced with that title. I would say there would have been better titles to this topic as well, to the speech as such. So this is how it emerged. I wanted to convey this fact. The speech is about mathematics and that I was not good at it. So to say that, let it be a question. Like we always know, when there is a question, the speech will become an answer. When there is a question, people are very curious to know what it is about. So is the maths teacher in the hall? And in fact, I think the person would have said, the contest master would have read it, I don't remember mathematics, like something about the Sri Lankan audience. They don't understand when we say maths. And this was an inference that I made the previous day. They have this habit of saying maths. They keep it short. So when you say maths, they feel they are listening to some other word. So that was also analyzed on the day when the topic was chosen.
Interesting. Thank you, Sham. From question and answer to inciting curiosity to have a twist in the title and connecting it with Toastmasters, DTM and DGM. That's a loads of information on how to choose your title. Thank you so much. My next question will go to Karthik. I'm just going to change the order. Karthik, have you ever doubted your speech? And if you had the doubt at some point of time, what did you do to get over that doubt or that question about whether your speech will take you there?
I don't have any doubt at all. After winning the division contest, and it happened in Swarna Sudarshan Hall, close to 320, 330 people were there. And when I completed my speech, I know that I'm going to be the winner. Okay, so I walked to the seat, and next to me, Kaishika was sitting, Kaishika Rodriguez. She was a keynote speaker on that day, and she was telling, you're going to win. I said, yeah, I know. And she said, not in division, district. All I want you to do is change these. So she gave some suggestion. I don't have any doubt at all. And close to 300 people, 320 people were laughing, and it was 7 minutes 29 seconds. I believe 7 minutes it came. It is my assumption. Maybe 1 second I would have been disqualified that day. Okay, and right after my division contest, I got calls from few people and saying, what is this speech? You are letting Toastmasters down, all that. Why don't you do, why you have to do all this? So these kind of feedback, maybe 2 or 3 calls I received. And I called my mentor and told him, can we change the topic for district? I said, leave the people who called you and told this. And what you were in the stage, what was the reaction from the audience when you delivered the speech? Everybody was laughing and they were reacting to me. All the reactions I really loved. I saw the vibe. So then why do you want to change it? Anything you deliver, 10% of the audience will not like it. Even you give a gyan, I after that I realized even Mahatriya's speech somebody delivers and somebody will tell, what is this here? Why? Yeah, I know this. So that kind of reaction will be there from people. So that was the like a turning point or a powerful message that Jainas told. Anything you deliver, 10% of the audience will not like it, or 20% of the audience will not. You are not doing it for them. You're doing it for the remaining people whom they have reacted and connected to you. Let's not change it. This is the unique and winning speech. Come on, that's the statement he gave. I don't have any doubts at all during my speech. Even when I was telling Kaishika, I know. When I say you're going to win, yeah, I know. Even Shamraj was not in that hall when I'm delivering the semifinals. He was in the other hall, and during the fun night, he was telling, "I missed you." No. Before the fun night, those night, he was telling, "I'm going to miss your speech. Semifinals, I will not be able to see it because I'm in other hall." I told him, "Let's see it in the finals." And Sandeep was telling, see his confidence here. So that kind of, I had complete belief that it will crack.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Karthik. This is a question for Adil. Adil, we know you prepare hard. All of us prepare hard for a humorous speech contest. But what do you do if maybe one or some of your jokes don't work? How do you handle that on stage?
I always split two things in my speech. That is part which is in my control, part which is not in my control. So content, delivery, preparation, these are all in my control. But audience reaction, definitely it is not in my control. And I'm not going to do anything from the stage. Even like as Karthik Mohandas said, we can do pre-preparation or we can speak with audience before or after the contest. But while on the stage, you can do nothing about it. You have to just go with the flow and believe that the rest of the speech is going to work. So I did not have that in mind, whether what if audience doesn't laugh. Or they did not laugh for most of my jokes, but still I had to carry that same energy.
Sure. Thank you so much, Adil, for that. And Shyam, this question's for you. Can you tell us about the role of your mentor in your humorous winning journey?
My club members were my mentors, Aarti. All my club members. That was the first time we were going for conferences. Toastmasters. So traveling everywhere. These people were very genuine at that time. They had not seen contests before. So they wanted me to deliver the best. They would be watching the speech for the 10th time and they would want to laugh. Now, that was the difficulty that they posted in front of me. And I still remember during the district contest, the day before, I somehow managed, like they made me do this and somehow managed to keep them laughing for 2 or 3 jokes. That would have been the 100th time that they were listening to me. So this was the challenge they posted to me. The other thing was, since those people traveled to all the conferences, they told me which was tough on my end. The division contest happened at Crescent College. I still remember the speeches of Tabriz and Leslie. Outstanding speeches. After I finished my speech in lot number 2, we had Tabriz and Leslie speaking after that. They were outstanding. I wanted them to win that contest, that division contest. And the order came Shyam, Tabriz and Leslie. But then I really loved their presentations. What we did was I had all my club members there. That evening we all sat. We wondered why Tabriz and Leslie couldn't make it to the top. And what we enjoyed about Tabriz and Leslie, what we could incorporate. So we had people working together. I had people working together for me. And finally they said, this will work, this will not work. For example, there is a place wherein I dropped that ruler, that scale down in my speech. I initially dropped it like this. People said Tabriz handled that. He had that sprayer, if people remember. That was a wonderful speech. He said he had invented a new alarm clock for Toastmasters. 20 minutes into the meeting, everybody sleeps. So he's going to take that sprayer from the saloon and spray it on everyone. This was a part of his speech. So he handled that sprayer very easily and casually. And after that, my people, like club members said, drop the scale like this. So mentors were a very important part. And as Kishore said, if they are people known to us than champions before, they know what can be brought out of us.
Thank you, Shyam. That's a new learning. crowdsourcing for mentoring. I think we need to start looking into it. Thank you so much, Shyam. Chidambaram, this question's for you. Now, we know that a lot of sports personalities, most people who are onto the stage and contestants have their own pre-contest, for want of a better word, I'm using preparation. And I've seen people talk to themselves, they close their eyes, they pretend like they're praying. Some people actually pray. Some people do a little bit of vocal sounds to ease them up. Do you have any such pre-contest regime?
Yes, every time whenever during the day of the contest, I will call my mentor. I will have a conversation with my mentor. Before going to the stage, it differs for every level. From club level, I will be in a different mindset. For area, I would be in a different mindset. And this is the first time I reached division and district. And this time, my mindset is more different. I had more hesitation because the day before the day before the contest, I delivered my speech with more nervousness in front of my mentors and my friends. So this time during the division and district, I repeated this lines in my mind. I should not rush. I should not rush. All I have to do is to deliver my speech better. And I don't want to focus on winning at that point of time. And I started repeating these things in my mind. And this helped me during the day of the contest. So this is the only ritual which I could think of right now.
Okay. Thank you to the room for that insight. With that, we move on to the last segment of the panel discussion. And no panel discussion sounds complete without a rapid fire round. So this is going to be the rapid fire round. You can answer in either one word or one sentence. Okay, that's going to be the clause. We will start with Adil this time. So Adil, your favorite humorous champion or a humorous person, need not be a Toastmaster. Shamraj, okay. Thank you. I think you answered this, but I'm going to ask you again. Would you describe yourself as a humorous person?
Yes.
Okay. What is it one quality you must possess to be successful on stage in a humorous contest?
Belief.
Belief. Okay, that's interesting. Name one person you would never want to contest against.
Jayan.
Jayan, okay. Where do you draw your speech inspirations from?
My grandma.
Your grandmother, that's nice, okay. What is the one unique aspect that you follow in all your speeches? For example, wordplay or rule of three or body language like that. What is that one unique aspect that you follow in all your speeches?
Smartness.
Smartness, that's one good one. And the last question, one recommendation for the upcoming humorous contest.
Just forget whether it is online or offline contest. Give your best.
Thank you so much, Adil. With that, we will move on to Karthik Mohandas. Karthik, your favorite humorous champion or humorous person of all time need not be a Toastmaster.
Shamraj.
Shamraj, you seem to be having a fan following. Would you describe yourself as a humorous person, Karthik?
Yes.
Okay. What is the one quality you think you must possess to be successful on stage?
Common topic which has to connect with the audience.
Common topic, interesting. Name one person you would never want to contest against.
Shamraj.
Shamraj, okay. Where do you draw your speech inspirations from?
Problems.
Problems, that's nice. What is the one unique aspect that you follow in all your speeches?
Try to be have it as a conversation with audience.
Conversations,
Most
interesting. And one recommendation for the upcoming humorous contest.
Oh my God. Look out your problems and derive a solution to it.
Okay. Look at the problems and derive a solution. Thank you so much, Karthik. With that, we'll move on to Chidambaram. Chidambaram, the same set of questions for you. Your favorite humor champion or humorous person of all times need not be a TM.
For me, distinguished Toastmaster Jayan Narayanan.
Jen, okay. Would you describe yourself as a humorous person?
No.
No. What is the one quality you must possess to be successful on stage?
Connect with the audience.
Connect with the audience. Name one person you would never want to contest against.
That would be Jayan. Okay.
Jayan, okay. Where do you draw your speech inspirations from?
Pain.
Pain. Okay. Okay. What is the one unique aspect that you follow in all your speeches?
Unique aspect, delivery.
Delivery. Okay. Can you be a little more specific?
Expression. I work on my expressions a lot.
Expression. Sure. Thank you so much. And one recommendation for the upcoming humorous contest.
Face it with a smile.
Face it with a smile. That's interesting. And Shyam, to you. Your favorite humorous champion or humorous person of all times need not be a Toastmaster.
I would like to name many, but to give one here, Kaishika.
Kaishika, okay, that's nice. Thank
These
you.
three guys are also in the list, but you wanted one, so Kaishika.
We need to make it difficult, right? You made the contest difficult for us, so this is time for revenge. Would you describe yourself as a humorous person?
Now, yes.
Okay, that's interesting. What is the one quality you must possess to be successful on stage?
Belief, confidence.
Belief and confidence. That's interesting. Thank you. Name one person you would never want to contest against.
Karthik.
Karthik, okay. Where do you draw your inspiration for all your speeches from?
Friends.
Okay. And what is the one unique aspect that you follow in your speeches?
Energy, ma'am.
One recommendation for the upcoming humorous contests.
Can I have it a little elaborate with your permission?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
All right. Now, I mean, my friends here, they've already given a lot of pointers, which I would like to present as a wholesome education. When we had Adil saying, like he said, contest podium, like I have witnessed all these gentlemen's presentations. There is a movie in Tamil, I don't remember the name of it. The actor Vikram has acted in it. They call about a steroid named speed. It works well when you inject it into you. When you are in a moment of pressure, you work very well. Your brain is very active. Now, that is exactly what Adil said. When he is on the stage, he gets that knack of saying contest podium when the contest master is not there. So one key value is to the upcoming contestants, go take part, feel the pressure, feel the heat. You will become the superpower that you have never dreamt before. That's from Adil. And talking about Chidambaram, very nice point that he said, we can express well on screen. All through his speech, I was able to feel that he was an innocent guy. The eyes were showing that. An innocent guy who believes this thing happens to me, people around me are bothered. That happened all through. So it's the personality that we draft or craft through our emotions, what upcoming speakers can think about. Talking about Karthik Mohandas, he told you that he talked to so many Sri Lankans and checked how that lungi was. He talked to me also. He talked to Tamils also the day before. He wanted to know how this thing was. And I will vouch to the fact that he was enormously confident, extremely confident. And if you can go to the stage with that confidence and belief, you will live that stage. You can see that in many parts of his speech. So wonderful speakers. So if these pointers can be condensed and taken forward, that would be a good takeaway for the upcoming humorous speech contestants, madam. Thank you for allowing me to elaborate on that.
And thank you so much, Shyam. I was supposed to summarize, you did it for me, so thank you so much for that. As a special treat to our audience, with the permission of the panelists, all these 4 panelists have kindly agreed to help mentor the contestants for this particular term. But they only have one condition. If you want to be mentored by any of them, they will drop their email IDs in the chat box. You will have to request their mentorship in an email with your script. And there are many times when we want to contest, but we don't have a script ready. If you want them to mentor you, drop an email, and they've already agreed. I've gotten their consent before I'm presenting this. So with that, I would like to take this opportunity to thank each and every members, because a panel moderation is successful only with the members. And to learn from these 4 champions and giants of District 120. We are so proud to have you all as a part of our district, and we wish you all many more successes in all the future and other forms of contest. With that, thank you so much for this opportunity, panelists and my dear Toastmasters of District 120. And back to the MC of the day, MC Samyukta. Thank you.
Thank you so much to the panel moderator and all 4 panelists who have made our day for the past 1 hour, for answering all the very insightful questions posed and for helping us dispel all the doubts and questions that we had about wanting to contest in the humorous contests. All of your answers were to the point and very useful. Thank you so much. We will now have the floor open for questions from the audience to any of the panelists or the moderator herself. If anyone has got questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box or raise your virtual hand so I can call you up. Have we got any questions? We have 5 people with all the answers. All we need are questions. We have one question from Vivekanandan. He asks, he is curious to know that while delivering a humorous speech and you see that the audience is not responding as you had expected, how do you bring impromptu changes and how do you continue further? Any of the panelists can answer the question, or all of you can just go one by one. Can we start with Toastmaster Chidambaram?
Yes. So I would say it depends on knowing yourself. If you could make changes during that time, I'm not really good at making impromptu changes. It's about understanding yourself. So for me, it's all about whether it is one joke is not working or total jokes are not working. If it is one joke which is not working, I will go ahead with my script with a confidence. During the time of the delivery, I should not have anything, any other thing in my mind. So because if we have that hesitation, we won't be able to deliver the rest of the jokes very well. So I will go ahead and present my speech with the confidence, and I will at the end I will analyze that how many jokes have worked. If there are 5 jokes worked in my speech, then it is fine. And if there are only 2 or 3 jokes worked in my speech, I will analyze it and I will present it in a different way the next time when I go to the stage. We cannot get it on a one go. It is a process and we need to experiment it. This would be my answer.
Thank you so much. Can I pose the same question to Toastmaster Adil? How do you continue when you see that the audience isn't reacting as expected?
Yes, Samyukta. Of course, we can make some impromptu changes. Like I've seen people doing that, but you have to make sure that you're being proactive. You're not being reactive to the audience expression. So you can make changes as you want, as you think that audience may work, this joke can work, but never ever react to the audience expression on the stage that you're going to lose the track. You may sometimes, there are very few people who can work on that, but I don't think that's a recommended idea to react to the audience expression.
Right. Thank you so much. The next question is from Kishore Babu, and I will address it to Toastmaster Karthik. What is your opinion about delivering a joke with mother tongue influence? Now, this is something that I feel needs to be addressed by all the panelists to talk about how much of a place does regional humor have in a does it establish with all of the audience?
I would say there is no issues in doing it, but always we need to translate it. And also it should not be overdose, especially for Toastmaster contest. You can do it, but translate it and don't overdose it.
Right. Can I pose the same question to Toastmaster Shamraj? How much of a place does jokes in mother tongue or do regional humor have in a humorous speech contest?
Now, are we talking about presenting the joke in Tamil in the regional language? Are we talking about that? Yes. Now, earlier when we were with Sri Lanka, I would have said, no, please, no, because that is not going to work. You will immediately lose connect with half the audience. Now, when we are talking about people here, it's about the contest. Now, today, I have a sentence in Tamil in my joke. I win the area level. I go to the division level. I do it well. I get 80% in the score. There is another guy who gets 80% there. Now, whom is the judge going to value? This is the matter of concern. Now, who is going to get eliminated? Let your regional influence not become a point of elimination, not become a factor for your elimination. So to be careful, have a local accent than having a sentence in the local language, no, regional language. When I say local language, I value the regional language. That is what I'm trying to say. The adjective is understood properly. Yeah.
We have one question from Toastmaster Indumati, and she wants to know, how do you transfer what is in your head properly into the speech so that it is interpreted in the same way as you intended for it to be? Now, this question I think we can pose to all 4 panelists and the moderator herself. All 5 of you can please take turns and answer the question. Can we start with Toastmaster Adil?
Yes, even I find it very, very difficult to convert that ideas into sentences that are very specific to say effective sentences which should work. So for that, definitely you need to try a lot, ma'am. You have to have 6-7 ways to say the same idea in a different ways, where sometimes in humorous speech we have something called punchlines. So at sometimes punchline will come at the end or the second last sentence. So you have to try a lot of ways. So when one works, stick to it, never leave it. And also you can find a mentor, proper mentor, who will be able to help you to do that proper interpretation or transformation of that sentence.
Let me go next, Samyukta, because this is a wonderful one-liner I had as an advice. I thought this is the best chance to share that. I'm not a humorous speaker at all. I'm more of an ISC speaker, but I did try in humorous speeches. And the one person, especially one of the panelists, I'll reveal who that is later, came to me and said, it's perfectly fine to think like Kamal Hassan, but when you deliver, you have to deliver like Vadivelu. That is where your disconnect is, Aarti. Your ideas are good, but in terms of delivery, you're still delivering the posh control. You're not letting yourself loose. So somehow I'm not able to do that. Let me be honest. I've not overcome that challenge, but I completely agree. From your thoughts when you're delivering, that is where the major transition that has to happen. And the person who gave me this one-liner is our panelist, Karthik Mohandas.
Think like Kamal Hassan, deliver like Kaundamani.
Kaundamani, not very
I think that one-liner has answered the question. I think that one-liner has answered the question pretty well. Can I also hear it from Toastmaster Chidambaram? How do you ensure that a joke in your mind is interpreted the same way as it was intended to be?
Practice with different audience. Initially, before going to the club contest, before facing the club audience, you can practice with your friends. You can practice with your mentor. In that way, when you approach an uncertain situation, you need to cover maximum uncertainties as possible. So practice telling it with many people. In that way, you will get to know how to deliver it during the club level. That would be my answer.
Can I hear it from Toastmaster Shamraj? The same question to you, sir.
Having many friends helps, ma'am. Now, for example, I have 5 friends with me who always come along with me. Like one guy starts laughing even before I complete that joke. That's his personality. There is one guy who is very tough to impress. He is Ram. He is very humorous. So you can't impress him with a light joke. So every time I prepare for a humorous speech contest, I go deliberately to them and crack that joke. When you go do it deliberately, you are on the hot seat. They're not going to approve you very easily. And this guy laughs. The other guy laughs. But then to make Ram laugh is very difficult. And when I achieve that, I'm sure I will do it well. And that version of that joke is going to win. Making it brief, making it abstract is always going to help with humorous speech contest. Another thing, certain jokes may not be jokes if you don't present them in that pace. Say, for example, anybody can float in the Dead Sea, but a dead body can float in any sea. Now, this is a line. Now, this will not sound like a joke if I give you the pass. If I allow you to think this is not a joke at all. So how do we understand it? When I deliver it to Ram, I know he laughs for this kind of jokes in this styles. So you get to know that. Another thing from DTM Rajdeep Manwani, when I was listening to his session on table topics, he said, you have content, but it is not coming in a deliverable style. It is not coming in handy. What do you do for that? He gave a very nice talk stating 10 minutes of cautious silence every day helps this corpus callosum to match the left and right brain. He said 10 minutes of cautious silence will give you that skill. Whatever you have in mind comes out in a natural flow. Your different versions come out very well when you observe 10 minutes of cautious silence. My pointer.
Cautious silence and practice. Those are the key things to remember for making sure the audience gets the joke just as you intended for it to be. We have Toastmaster Lalita, who has raised her hand. Would you like to unmute yourself and pose your question to the panelists?
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. I just wanted to ask, this is my first time going for a humorous contest, and I've started a little bit practice. The thing is, when I give one-liner jokes, they are funny in my head. But when I'm giving the joke to my friends, they don't find it funny. They don't understand. So I have noticed that I'm spending time on elaborating those jokes to make them understand the joke, and it's taking up a lot of time. So what would you recommend that to do in this kind of situations? Like, do I just leave the joke, or do I try to elaborate and make them understand, try to get them laugh? What would you do?
Can we have Toastmaster Karthik answer that question and go one by one?
Karthik, could you take that question?
Yeah, sure, Ati. Lalita, first of all, appreciate it and congratulations. You're going to participate, and all the best for your contest. Okay. And every joke, it has to be incremental improvement. So it will not be a joke at the first time when you deliver it. And even Kishore was pointing out, right, during his session, open mic, all the stand-up comedians go to the open mic and fine tune, and then they will deliver. And once what we see in the YouTube is the final version when it is chiseled to the level where it is crisp and clear. So that is what I would suggest. Maybe it is an incremental improvement. Try it, fine tune it, and finally, when you deliver it in the stage, it will have the impact what you want to create in the audience mind. Maybe in this overall process, as everybody mentioned, friends, mentor, and feedback from your club, everything is going to help. Does it help, Lalita?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We have one more question from Toastmaster Deepa. Now, I think this can be quickly answered by all the panelists. How many versions of your speech did you have before you gave the winning one?
Minus 16 versions.
Can we hear it quickly from Toastmaster Chidambaram? How many versions of this? 16.
What I delivered in the final.
I don't think I've given 16 speeches in total in my whole course.
No, the same speech, it is 16th version. Not a 16th speech, actually. 16th version of the same speech. So totally I had 35 ideas for that lungi. And then it is transformed into 16 version of it. Even I have that, you are the future of Toastmaster version 16. That is my final speech I delivered in the finals. And the other one, handwritten, is still there. It is at the end of the semi-finals, we had some discussion, final changes. That is not drafted in word form. It is just written, maybe 17 versions. And also there was one question they have asked, did you change your script? I have not changed my script. Only thing I did is I had different ideas for area level, division, and district. So I have not changed my script.
Right. How many versions of your speech did you have before you delivered the final one? Can we have Toastmaster Chidambaram answer that?
I don't recollect. I I lost the count after creating 10 versions because my mentor told many changes during the last week itself, and I recollected in my mind and I noted down in my phone only those changes. So I haven't drafted it as a Word document after that. So I couldn't recollect, but it should be more than 10.
Toastmaster Shamraj, how many versions of your speech did you have before you gave the final one?
I don't remember, ma'am. I don't remember. But what I remember is the first part of the speech, the first 90 seconds of the speech underwent some 6 or 7 revisions. It was changing every time when I went up to the contest. One point, like if I were permitted to say about what if people don't laugh for my joke, if people don't laugh. There is a person named Eric from West Indies. This guy said, people don't follow your accent. People don't follow your jokes. People follow your energy. Like, I'm not talking about being vibrant. Like, if it is a silent speech, that is also an energy in one form for that speech. So when you trust and deliver it, it works. Another point, when you experiment it with many people, there is a small trick that you can follow. There will be some jokes which you will definitely know people will laugh. Place them on the top. The ones that you're doubtful, place them after. Usually the LOU follows. Like when people have reacted for the first few jokes, they will have a natural tendency of laughing for the other ones also. The other jokes will also take the same credit. That is how I said. So even revisions on this happened in my script. I put some jokes which I was doubtful to the end, to the middle. So that helps. The best ones always on the top. That would address that point.
Next question I would like to address to Toastmaster Adil. We see a lot of people talk about Toastmasters, including district winners like you all, during their humorous speeches, mentions of other Toastmasters in their speeches. Some people think it's cliche, and what is your suggestion about it?
Mentioning about other Toastmasters? No,
Right.
definitely it's not cliche. If everybody mentions the same person, of course it's cliche. But if you mention your mentor or your fellow Toastmasters, you have to find a way that it doesn't sound like a cliche. Of course, you have to be very smart and mention directly. You cannot say the name and their attribute. You have to come up with a strong story or strong sentence, which should either bring them up or put them down. So you have to make sure you're doing it with a bang, just rather than with being a blunt. You can do.
Right. The next question is from Toastmaster Haripriya. I would like to address it to Toastmaster Karthik. Now, Haripriya's question is that humorous speeches are most of the time, more often than not, about audience relatability, but the variety of topics that can be used in a Toastmasters forum are filtered. You can't cover everything under the sun. And when that is the case, there is a repetition of the kind of topics that can be used to get humorous content. So how do you overcome this?
As I mentioned earlier, look out for the problems. And when you look out for the problems at that maturity, when you are having that problem, you will be sulking and you will be going through embarrassment, all that. And when you look at that problem now, it will be funny. Even for example, a lot of things I can say. I went to a restaurant in Northern Ireland. Let's not restaurant, Subway. Okay, I have never been to Subway in Chennai, but when you go there, complete embarrassment. But when you go to a new place, you will carry yourself as if you know everything. So that is the kind of attitude I carried, and complete embarrassment. And she was laughing at me on that counter. That is one. And elbow drivers, imagine elbow drivers. I was teaching my wife about driving, and during that point, I was lost my patience. What is this, Anita? So all that I was doing. But when I look back and check all this scenarios, that become a speech. And when you go to restaurant or buffet, I see my colleagues or office mates going to a buffet barbecues or they eat and then they take off for next day. So then I look at all the hotels and how do we go and order everything. That becomes a speech. That's it. You look at the problem and then give solution. You look at the problem, how you suffer. You look at the problem, how others suffer. That's it. You build a script which is not maybe filtered version or filtered for Toastmasters, or it is narrowed down for topics, nothing like that. Yeah, there is ample amount of topics. All you need to do is look at the problem and everybody will be relating to it and connecting to it.
Now, this next question I'd like to have answered once by Toastmaster Chidambaram because he did the contest online, and once by Toastmaster Shamraj because you did the contest offline, because this question can have answers in both perspectives. While writing the script, this question is from Toastmaster Chittu Raja. While writing the script, how to make sure that we are writing a script that connects with the audience to the fullest, like 100%. Now, of course, the difference is that when you are contesting online, you don't get to see if the audience is connect to it or not. So how would Toastmaster Chidambaram and Toastmaster Shamraj answer this question?
Okay. I think connecting 100% is not possible from my perspective. We can target maximum percentage because as Karthik Mohandas sir and Shamraj sir told right now, Jayan sir also told we can connect only to 90% of the audience and 10% won't get connected. And Sham sir also told about his friends where every friends are unique. So you cannot connect with 100% of the audience. So when I try to write a script, I will always think about the audience. There is a particular incident about my mentors. So when I deliver it in my club level, I would just mention their names as Sheikh Dawood and Shreya Singh and Shubhadeep. But when I go to the area level and division level, I make sure that audience don't connect with them. I know during the club level, all the members would know about them. So that's why I never given their titles in the club level contest, and audience connected with it. But during the area level and division level, I wanted to make it more serious, and so I have given the title as past star area director and district table topics champion and district first level runner up. So you need to keep the audience in mind when you start to write the script. In this way, you can ensure that you can connect to the maximum percentage of the audience. This would be my answer. Over to Shamraj sir.
Thank you, Chidambaram. Well said. I would like to state, with any topic that you choose in this world, there can be a connect that you can still try. Like as he said, try. Now in the training industry, they say, tell the audience a joke. A 60-year-old man and a 6-year-old child should laugh for the same joke. Now they're trying to tell us it is possible. We can try. As he said, 90% would accept, but still you can go give it a try. Now, for example, there is a sleepless baby in the house. Okay. Now, people who do not have babies, who are spinsters or bachelors, may not connect with it. But maybe when they say, my baby never sleeps. So every night, I don't pray God to give me peaceful sleep. I pray God to give him peaceful sleep. If he sleeps, the whole colony would sleep. Now, for example, here, the prayer, this action, this is connected to everybody. Now, I say in a humorous speech, I say, I don't like my uncle. I'll tell you something about my uncle. 20 years ago, he started his career as a still cameraman. Today, he is still cameraman. Now, this uncle is personal to me. You cannot connect with my uncle, but you can connect with still camera. You can connect with cameraman, like this kind of jokes. So maybe if you feel something is humorous for you, something is good for you, go ahead, pick those elements that will be common for everybody and tie knots with this point. And as Kishore said, don't be a judge to your own jokes, my dear friends. We are a repeated audience to our jokes. You write a script, go for lunch, come back, it will sound boring. It will definitely sound boring. So because you are a repeated audience, now try it with somebody, that guy will tell you if that works or not.
We have one final question, and I would like to address it to Toastmaster Adil. This question again is from Chittu Raja from HBI. I can make my script about my problems, but in real life, I'm not able to find solutions. So how do I conclude my speech about problems?
Oh, humorous speech never expects a solution from you, Chitraja. So people are expecting to hear a problem. If they find a solution, definitely it's not going to sound humorous. So make as many problems as you can, address it to the audience. If you do not find a solution, that's well and good. But if you still have a solution, one or two solutions, make it in a funny way and present it. So there is no need to present a solution. In real life, if you don't find a solution, that's going to be very difficult. I think you have to approach someone else for that. Of course, you don't need a solution for that. So still, the problem can make them laugh. or a funny solution can make them laugh. No need of a serious solution at all.
Right. And with that, I would like to thank all the four gentlemen on the panel and the panel moderator for their time and all the insights offered. With the humorous contest right around the corner, I'm sure you have inspired many to come forward and sign up for the contests. Thank you so much for the discussion and all the information that has been put out for the audience today. That being said, of course, can I have the Zoom master post the feedback link for the panel discussion in the chat box so that everyone in the audience can go ahead and fill in their feedback? Yes, the feedback form has been posted in the chat box. Request everyone in the audience to please click on it and give your feedback very quickly. Now, while we are at it, I would like to deliver the vote of thanks. My first thank you, of course, will go to the TLI team for putting together this wonderful event, for bringing all of these stars of comedy, the stars of humor of District 120 and beyond, to come visit and provide their insights and tell us how to master the science of humor, and for inspiring all of us. So thanks to the team for putting up this event. I would like to thank the club growth director, DTM Gayatri, for starting off the event on the right note. I would like to thank the keynote speaker for this morning, DTM Kishore KVM, for coming forward and teaching us and covering all the basics and everything that is important and needed to present a proper humorous speech. This has been much appreciated, and thank you very much. I would like to then thank our program quality director, DTM Aarti Mangalam Jayaraj, for that skillfully managed panel discussion where almost every question that mattered was posed, and the questions were answered very amazingly well by all four of the panelists, all four gentlemen on the panel: Toastmaster Shamraj, Toastmaster Karthik, Toastmaster Adil, and Toastmaster Chidambaram. Some of the certified funny men of District 120. We are so happy that you all managed to come forward and provide so much answers to all our questions. Lastly, I would like to take a minute to thank the role players of this morning, the runners of the show, the men behind the scenes. Our Zoom master for this meeting, Toastmaster Dia, who has been managing spotlighting and, of course, every other important Zoom feature needed to make this online event a grand success. I would like to thank the timer, Toastmaster Dheeraj, who did an amazing job ensuring that everyone kept with the time. And of course, we are right on time with the agenda as well. So thank you so much for that. I would like to then thank the event chair for today, Toastmaster Ramkrishna, who did an amazing job coordinating with all the role players for the meeting. He did a fabulous job. And with that, I would like to end today's session. That has been the event, and this is my time. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we leave, of course, I would like to end it with a little link again. We will be posting a Mentimeter link in the chat box. Of course, why? I graduated school 2 years ago, and on the last day of school, my friends and I, we took a pencil. We wrote all our names on one bench, and we wrote, "We were here." Now, I don't know what happened to that bench, but we do have an online version of it, and that is the Mentimeter link. I request all of you to please click on the link and type the first thing that comes to your mind about the session today, the first thing at all. All of your contributions will form a word cloud, something that will help us remember the event by without all the takeaways. Can we have the screen presented for the word cloud, please, so that we can just see the words as they're being typed?
I've shared my screen. I hope it's visible.
Yes, the screen is visible.
Yes, we see a lot of words coming in. See people talking about DTM Kishore's session. We see insightful, we see crafting, we see a well-spent Sunday. Much, much appreciated. Of course, we agree with it as well. It was a very well-spent Sunday. Do we have more words coming in? Come on, people. The link is in the chat box. All you need to do is click on it and type the first thing that comes to your mind about the session today. The first thing that comes to your mind, anything. It can be anything that you found funny in the last 3 hours, anything that you learned, anything that you liked, anything at all. Of course, the link will be live. And with this, I would like to close the meeting. The floor will then be open for networking for anyone who wishes to stick around and spend a little more time with us. That was our time, and this was the event. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, everyone, and wishing you a fantastic journey ahead. All the best for your future contests. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we are 34 of us, 33 of us rather. We can stay in this room. I don't want to create a separate breakout room because the number of people are less. And also, obviously, we have the panelists as well. If at all you want to have a question offline to them, please feel free to connect with them and post your questions.
Shyam, I have a question for you. Even when you were giving us answers to the questions that came in the chat box, you had a few jokes to immediately share, especially the one about anybody will float in the Dead Sea. Do you, how do I say it? Do you have like a dictionary of these jokes? Do you have a note where you write all of them together? How do you remember them in the first place?
Okay, I do write, but what I presented today was not from my writing. I have certain things running in my head. Now, for example, this still cameraman is something that I enjoyed the most. It was said by one of my friends. I knew it was a very good joke. So I always have it in my head. Even when I go for a training session, I use it. When I go address school students, I use it. So since it has been used more, it comes out spontaneously when somebody talks about things relevant to it. What I pick, I don't tend to forget, ma'am. The point is I enjoy them more. Like recently, one of my friends said he was not able to go to the software industry. He wasn't able to go abroad. So he was angry on one particular guy. So they said that guy is a US return, you know. Ponone return pantangla. This is what he asked. US ponone return pantangla. Now return cannot be used that way. But when he says that, it still stays in my mind. It stays in my mind. Now, this is informal, am I right, Aarti?
Yes, it is completely informal, sir.
Okay. Now I remember a time, if I have that time to state that to you. Now my father retired from his job. So my friends came to my house and they gave him a gift. They gave him a present. So they had taken his picture in Photoshop, the grayscale image. They had laminated it and they had given it to my father. Now, my father was not aware of Photoshop. So when you look at it, it looks like somebody has drawn it, right? So I told you about a friend, Ram. That guy was standing here. There was another guy, Dhanasekaran. He gave that gift to my father. My father unwrapped it. He looked at that picture. He was happy. He thought it was drawn and laminated. So he asked, Yedu, Dhanasekaran varanjadiya lamination pottinga? This was his question. Yedu, Dhanasekaran varanjadiya lamination pottinga? இல்ல அவன் வரைஞ்சதை கீழே போட்டோம் இது போட்டோஷாப்ல பண்ணதை லேமினேட் போட்டோம் யூ அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் லைக் ஹவு வுட் ஐ ஃபர்கெட் கீழே போட்டோமோ லேமினேஷன் போட்டோம் ஃப்ரேம் போட்டோமோ லைக் ஹவு டிஃபரெண்ட் தே ஆர் ஸோ I tend to think about it and enjoy myself now and then, so I remember them. Yes, I do have a repository. I write down things, and what comes on the spot is what still runs inside the brain.
Thank you so much. Team, this is not only to talk about humorous contests. We can have any conversation. This platform is ideally, if this was in person, we would all be having a cup of coffee and with the legendary samosas and just chatting with each other. We wanted to create that platform over here.
Hi, Sham, this is Deepak here. I mean, I saw your YouTube videos and the way you speak, the rate of speech is so high. I mean, when I hear about for like RJ Balaji also, he used to say that there's no a filter between my brain and my mouth. It comes as a flow. That's how he speaks actually. And I see the same tendency that when you also see the same thing, it's happening there. So how you control it actually? But right now in this video, I was so surprised to see that you're speaking very slowly and cautiously, each word by word. So what is the transformation, Shyam?
Maybe the inability to control the adrenaline that I face on stage. So I'm sounding so fast on stage. Somehow I believe, sir, when I'm on the stage, I have to be extra cautious. You can feel that in table topics mostly. See, humorous speech contest, I always have this caution. Kishore told us this morning, with stand-up comedians, the frequency of jokes has to be 15 seconds. For every 15 seconds, you should crack a joke. So during my humorous speech contest, I wanted to have as many jokes as possible in that 5 to 7 minutes. So I had to make it fast. And in fact, it was a wrong example that I said. I did not mind the audience. I wanted to deliver all the jokes that I had. Only after the area level and the division level, someone told me very clearly in an understandable way that the jokes don't mean anything if the audience don't understand. So I started reducing. Now, in table topics, I always had this idea. I had to deliver 3 concepts, 1 anecdote, 1 personal life, and 1 final quotation, which I can explain a little. Now, if I have to complete all these 3 factors, naturally, I have to be fast. This is what I understand, sir. And I am somebody who deals with little children most of the time. If I don't keep engaging them continuously, I would lose control. If I have to keep talking, I have to keep talking. I shouldn't give a moment of pause. Otherwise, if he loses eye contact with me, that's it. I'm going to take 5 minutes to get him back. So I think that's what I reflect in my speaking also. And if you ask me, when you speak now, you are slow, you are composed, thanks to all the Toastmasters. They have achieved something very big. They have taught me how to make it slow. Now, when I speak in Tamil, I speak at the same speed, sir. I think they are complementing each other.
Great. Shyam, I also happened to see the video of the table topic one in the YouTube. The topic is like on the far, and you connected by Alexander and everything. So you get information by reading books, or what is the vent that you absorb knowledge on various topics, Shyam?
So as you know, there are 3 kinds of listeners and learners in the world: the auditory, kinesthetic, and visual learners. They say I fall under the auditory category. So I listen more. Like we have got some veterans saying, if you want to be a speaker, be a good listener. If you want to be a good writer, be a good reader. Reading complements writing, listening complements speaking. This is what they say. So if you're talking about that example of Alexander, I have listened to it from somewhere. I don't remember where from I listened. But when I listen, if I get impressed by it, it's very hard for me to remove it out of my brain. Again, talking about the industry that I'm in, I have to do a lot of talking, which means I should have a lot of examples with me. I cannot give the same content the second day in my industry. So, in fact, you told me the topic was about far. I talked about Alexander. Now, had I talked about Napoleon, had I talked about Einstein, had I talked about Mahatma Gandhi, my industry requires that I connect all these stories to the same concept far. Now, if you had been into this practice of table topics, you would definitely know this, sir. Before the table topics contest, they have 20-25 stories. And the challenge, the practice session happens like this. Force fit that story into this topic. Come on. Force fit it. Now you're going to talk about Mahatma Gandhi, but your topic is nonviolence. Speak. They give this coaching, and somehow we come to that line. And finally, by the end of the day, looking at the climate, looking at the kind of audience, you choose your story. Like that day, we had Australians there. We had the world president and his wife attending that event. So I knew only global examples would work. People known to India and Sri Lanka were not sufficient. So go to somebody like Alexander. Go for a milestone like quotation. So that happened that day, sir. I think I've extended it. Did I answer your question, sir?
Yes, Shyam. Shyam, I'm sorry for asking more questions over here. I found the space to ask a lot of questions. When you say that depends upon the audience, like area, district, you keep changing it. You might be more influenced in talking to the Indian audience, but when the red carpet is on the Sri Lanka, okay, especially when you're going to deliver it on Sri Lanka, have you made any special speeches based on Sri Lanka, or you went along with the same speech? How was it?
It's a risky idea to choose it based on Sri Lanka, sir. It's a risky idea. Go global. Go global, I would say. Now, the content has to be global, no doubts. If you are speaking to even one member in the audience who is foreign to you. Now, talking about how they understand matters. Now, Sri Lankans feel that our accent is very different from theirs. In 2015, I was there for my international speech contest. I had a very embarrassing experience. It was an international speech contest, prepared speech for 5 to 7 minutes. I had the first 2 minutes to be humorous, the next 4 minutes to be informative. I presented the first 2 minutes and people were sitting like this. I came down and I asked them if the jokes were not good. They told me, Shyam, I did not understand you. That was very embarrassing. So when I went back after 6 months to Sri Lanka, I had a few friends. I delivered the same statement in different ways and ensured that they understood. Like all these practices are there in Sri Lanka, they are in Malaysia, Singapore, everywhere. The only point is the pronunciation of a few words, the pace in which we deliver. For example, maths is not understood. Maths is understood. So what do? Better say it mathematics. Everyone understands it. And do you remember the joke on that scale? Like if you had watched that video, I said, my teacher thrashed me with that scale. One Sri Lankan boy said, oh God, do teachers use the scale to punish your children? He asked this question. I was shocked. Don't your teachers beat you with your rulers? That was the question. He said, you can't use an educational instrument to punish children, he said. I was still taken up. My teacher should have been like that. I felt that. But then this guy, I asked this guy, so don't your teachers punish you with the scale? No, we use steel rods for that, he said. They punish, but then they don't use it. Now you have to be aware of this sentiment. Okay, you don't use a ruler to go beat children. You can't beat children in somewhere else. So this understanding happened. The little modification happened, but I did not get into a Sri Lankan topic, a Sri Lankan joke. No, that did not happen.
Thanks, Shyam. Thanks a lot for the patience, and you answered all my questions. Thanks a lot, Shyam.
Thank you. My pleasure, sir.
We gained a lot, Shyam.
Glad, sir. Thank you, sir.
X plus delta X. In the time, I'm sorry. I should translate. It was very nice during the session and especially after the session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So kind of you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shyam, and thank you, members. Since we don't have any more questions or discussions, we will call it a day. Once again, wishing all of you a fantastic Sunday left and an amazing contest season. And Shyam and all the other panelists, congratulations for your, good luck to your continued journey. And thank you, TLI team, for this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks a lot.